Jeff, why?
What? It's a thumb hole for
thumb sleeves
in the sleeve, and then it pulls the thumb. It pulls the sleeve up over your.
It's a sleeve in your sleeve.
I need that because my arms are so long.
It keeps the bottom halves of your hands slightly warmer.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
And if you,
I mean, that's the actual why is a warmth thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it looks
for
cool.
people not watching a video version of this thing. Your hoodie has built-in thumb holes in the sleeves.
Right. Yeah.
As opposed to you cutting them out.
Right.
Yourself.
Does that make you want to put your arms behind you while you run now, or?
Yeah.
No.
No. Okay.
No, it does not.
Back,
no, that's
head down.
like step one is do I want to run?
Kind of hold your hands out like an airplane. Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah. I mean that maybe.
No, this is like it's like
more like do you want like
the
a
Naruto?
Full, like a full anime run?
Yeah,
full on anime run.
More of a swept wing design.
No, I do not want to anime run. In fact, I'm going to take my thumbs out of these holes now.
I want to try it. Just
I wish my sleeves
everyone is
could
so
go
distracted.
When you animate, doesn't anime running let you run up buildings and like cross power
across
lines?
water? Yeah, pretty much anywhere.
Yeah.
I've never tried that, but
sounds fun.
I'd like to.
Anywhere in Japan. It doesn't work outside.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a
It's the Earth's magnetic field is different there.
Yeah.
It kind of enables some.
has been the planet that King Kai's on is 10 times the
no,
gravity.
No.
What?
No. We have another podcast.
Do they have,
Okay. All right.
So they have a different colored sun there as well.
No, it's like a afterlife sort of thing. So there's kind of the sun shines above the Snake Way, but you don't want to fall off it. I'm told.
You don't want to fall off.
I'm sorry.
No.
Then you go to hell.
The Million Mile Snake Way.
The what way?
The Million Mile Snake Way.
What way?
You run out along the top of a snake.
Oh, it's an actual snake?
These are questions that are better left unanswered.
Okay.
I think they're up for interpretation.
Or answered on a different podcast.
Yeah, we have a whole separate podcast for questions like that.
Honestly, it's a little bit unnerving to me that I only have a matter of like weeks left until I'm not the person who knows most about Dragon Ball Z around here.
Yeah.
Maybe Jan would know.
No,
But we're
slowly
close.
disheartened.
We're very
getting disheartened.
close.
Yeah. Maybe we
yeah.
should just become experts in, I don't know, pick an anime.
Don't say this out loud.
You're right.
It's gonna go fucking bad for you.
96 are Hunter X
90
One
sitcoms.
Piece.
Full House. Family Matters.
Urkel. Isn't
that is
Family Matters?
No, so you just you don't want to do a Family Matters podcast. You just want an Urkel breakdown.
I am going to specifically talk about Urkel's action. Well, I mean, that's the best part of the show. I mean, sure.
Family Matters Kai, where it's only edited for Urkel's parts.
Does that include episodes of the Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon?
Oh God, that was
that he did the voice for.
That's right, he was the voice.
It includes like important episodes, but it cuts out all the bullshit ones.
Great.
Of like him hanging out with his robot.
Yeah,
friend
there's one where
or
Sonic
driving.
gets a driving license.
They kind of like stumbled into that, right? Like that show was not built around Urkel to begin with.
No,
right?
no,
he was just kind of a side character that showed up at one point.
Probably.
Yeah, it was.
Everybody lost their minds.
I mean, The Simpsons was originally built around Bart, and then they realized that was a bad way to go with it, and then it was built around Homer. Much like Family Matters was originally not about the wacky next door neighbor.
Sure.
I mean, if you look at it, like I can't even remember his real name.
The
actor.
Jaleel White.
Jaleel White is like a modern day Jim J. Bullock. You fucking heard me.
God. Where's Carl Winslow in all this?
Hanging out.
Yeah.
Dadding it up.
Yeah.
Retired now, probably.
Retired from the LAPD.
Police force.
Yeah. Retired from the police
Were they
force and then
Chicago?
spent time with his family.
Yeah.
Nice for him. John McClane isn't even
On a
retired
second
yet.
mortgage.
We thank him for his service.
Well, John McClane was not wise with his money.
No.
Or his fame. I mean, he
Or his
potentially
time,
he could have
or-
spun that out. Like the John McClane personal brand, he could have done a lot better.
Yeah. You start selling grills or something.
Right, yeah. If you get a McClane grill, it's...
Or like shoes, right?
Yeah, shoes would be good. He'd be like, trust me, you need these.
You don't want to walk around glass without these. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, look at me. I'm walking on broken glass over here. It sucks.
I've been there.
Take it from me, John McClane. You need a lighter that lights when you're in this ventilation duct. Shoot the glass.
Now I've got new shoes. Ho, ho, ho.
Yeah.
That's the tagline.
Mm-hmm.
I can see that.
It's February 27th. It's Giant Bombcast. What are you guys going to do with your last 36 hours of February?
All right, it's the short one.
Yeah, it screwed up my...
I was like, rent. I was thinking...
Yeah, it screwed up my bill paying this month for sure.
No, I don't know. I have no big plans for the next 36 hours, I would say.
Waste them?
Yeah.
Probably.
Absolutely.
Good.
Think about taxes. Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I looked at a copy of TurboTax yesterday and went, shit.
Yeah, we're still in the time frame where in my mind I still have 2 months to do them.
Right.
Even though it's like maybe 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went to Target over the weekend, and next to the Blu-ray displays of the current releases was also a bunch of copies of TurboTax.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Tis the season. Yeah.
Forget Valentine's Day. Target's already redecorated.
That's the
with
next
tax
major
season.
holiday.
Yeah.
It's the biggest, most exciting season.
Ugh. I think my stuff has become relatively simple, and it's just a matter of like entering all the fucking shit
Gotta
into
sit
the
down-
shit.
Sit down and do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Grumble the whole time.
Right. Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah.
At one point, it was more complicated,
Yes.
but.
Speaking of grumbling,
Mm-hmm.
I kind of feel like you came in here with a chip on your shoulder.
I don't know what you're talking
Some
about.
things
Sick
to
of your
say.
attitude, man.
Like
I check my attitude at the door.
some
That's what, like the sign says out front. It says no tudes,
That's right.
and I adhere to that
Yeah.
as the person who put the sign up. I feel like it would be uncouth for me to
Gotta-
come in here with a tude.
Got to practice what you preach.
That said,
Let's hear your entirely fair, unbiased, balanced, calm appraisal of.
I finished Metal Gear Survive.
Yeah.
Well,
Have you?
I finished the story
Okay.
of Metal Gear Survive.
I think you were the only person I know who's actually played through that whole thing.
I mean,
Nobody else
afterwards,
wants to
yeah, no,
admit
don't
it.
don't, and that's my
Oh.
answer. That is my if you want, as someone who has been there, don't play through Metal Gear Survive.
I think I might not.
Yeah,
The
Yeah,
last
I'm with you.
3 times I've played it, I've come away from it going, well, that's the last time I'm going to play that.
yeah, that's
Like,
that's
they're
a
just-
wise.
But curiosity has like gotten the best of us every time we see it.
Yeah.
We're like, oh wow, what the hell is that
And-
thing?
and
It's
that's-
like how Metal Gear does this game
That's
get?
that's what drove me
Right.
through it, and
Gotta
you know,
see it through.
I can always I can sit here and say, I saw credits basically. I got a bad ending, and then went like, what the fuck? Wait, what the fuck?
Multiple endings.
And then because there was a waypoint that was not clear enough for me to follow, but there was another thing that I did that I thought was the thing to do, and turned out that was just activate bad end.
Dumb.
Did
you get the good
I guess I
ending?
won't spoil it. And then you can reload and do that sequence again, and
and get the good ending?
and get the good ending, I guess. And so it's like Metal Gear Survive is to the Phantom Pain as like Fortnite Battle Royale is to Fortnite. In
Okay.
that it's like they had a lot of assets for a thing they made,
Mm-hmm.
and then said, what if we made a totally different game?
Oh, I thought you were saying that this was better.
No. No.
I'm kidding.
No. Definitely not. It feels like a mod. It feels like like the same way that these battlegrounds, these battle royale games sprung out of Arma and some of this other stuff and all that. Like this feels like a similar thing, except it just happens to be made by the same company and some of the same people who worked on some of those previous Metal Gear games.
I'm going to read an email real fast.
Okay.
Carl from Sweden.
Old Swedish Carl.
Metal Gear
The hottest
Survive.
of Carls.
Metal Gear Survive is a strange asset flip spin-off with a heavy focus on time management.
Totally.
Is Metal Gear Survive the Majora's Mask of Metal Gear?
Yeah, it sucks like Majora's Mask did. Yeah. Man.
Not
So
touching that
so they I think it's like super disingenuous for them to have the Metal Gear name on this thing.
I mean, it would be weird if they didn't, just because it is built out of those parts.
Right. But
Like,
If you think about-
visibly,
But
if you think about what Metal Gear has meant up to this point, it has meant like the story, a lot of this other stuff, like the gameplay.
It's like a lot of intrigue, a
Yeah.
lot of interesting characters.
Right. It's
like,
not to say the gameplay is bad.
to be fair, in the first
but-
like 90 minutes, it does have that. It just sounds like maybe it doesn't
and it doesn't
go anywhere.
But also, it doesn't have that in the same way
Yeah,
or,
I mean,
with the same depth and specificity.
well, they build it up in a way that suggests they might.
Right.
But then it sounds like they
like
don't
there's
follow through.
there's like a militaristic fetishism to Metal Gear,
Yeah.
like the way it treats its guns and like all the stuff. Even that, I think that translated into development to a certain extent when you saw them out there going like, "We spent a month in L.A. CQC training."
Yeah.
You're like, "You guys are fucking all right, sure, whatever."
Military advisor
All right.
Motosada Mori.
Yeah.
Like, I remember that guy's name because they trotted him out
Exactly,
front and center
like
for every
all
Metal Gear
that
game.
fucking
Like,
weird dumb shit.
Check out our military advisor.
For whatever that's worth, right? And I generally speaking, have really liked most of the Metal Gear games. So this, when you read the way they're pitching this game, they talk about it in terms of like, it's that same gameplay from Phantom Pain. That's just a fucking lie.
Yeah, I like the controls.
Are the same.
The engines,
But the
same,
enemies you are facing, the situations you find yourself in, are so different, and the weapons you will use are so different than the stuff that you would do in Phantom Pain.
Watching the trailer, like I saw a bunch of stealth sequences.
I mean, yes, you will get a bonus to your energy if you sneak up behind the zombies and kill them. Also, the zombies are so dumb with their attacks that if you're facing them one at a time and they're not ganging up on you, you can still get behind them and do the stealth kill even if they're like trying to charge you.
Damn, you're good.
But that's part of the reason I have walked away from this thing is because like the movement is just clumsy enough, and that prompt for doing the backstab is like
it's just finicky enough.
Like the zone that you need to be in, like it comes and goes constantly. Like I keep missing it because the prompt will disappear a split second before I hit the button. Like
I dialed it in a lot better. Over the course of the 20-ish hours I played.
I probably would too. Eventually,
maybe 25-ish.
I don't know if I want to put that kind of time in at this point because it's so frustrating up front.
Right. And also, like, you know, the gameplay at hour 1 is not very different from the gameplay at hour 20 or 30.
Really?
In terms of just like, you know, depending on what you want to do with your resources. Like you eventually start crafting more and more guns, and then it becomes a matter of like, do you have the lead and gunpowder and all this other stuff to craft bullets? And that just becomes busy work in a lot of cases. They set up like this game
It's
feels
gotta be
like
a way to like automate some of that stuff, right?
well, you get a team, an expedition team that you can send out. And it takes, you know, like 22 real world minutes for them to come back with stuff.
Oh, that thing.
And then you can pay them real money to unlock additional slots for more teams.
Nice.
But through the course of the story itself, you won't have enough people at your base to like really fill any of that out. That's kind of all post game stuff. If you really want to get into the base building and survival aspect of this game, which is really what this game is. This game is not
Can you like take over other people's bases? No PvP.
No.
So there's no way to show that off. Really.
Right.
Okay. Boo. All right.
You know, that would be something that they could do is if you could raid bases and stuff like that.
Go through a wormhole to other versions of DT.
Yeah.
Other bases.
So that's the thing. This is not the single player stuff from Phantom Pain.
Yeah.
This is the FOB multiplayer stuff from Phantom Pain, but without the multiplayer.
I'll create the stuff I didn't touch.
Right. Well, it's the stuff that was like not, you know, some people got way into that.
Yes.
I like the idea because like if you looked at that on its face, like you looked at it, it was a lot like the Castle Doctrine, a Jason Rohrer game. Where it's like, okay, I'm going to invade other people's places when they're not online and take their shit. If they are online, they might fucking come back to their base and then there'd be a human player there. That's crazy. Like there were crazy moments that had potential in Phantom Pain. But at the end of the day, like the stuff you were struggling to get, it was not worth the time.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't think adding live competitive multiplayer to this game would actually add anything because at the end of the day, like, there are ways to get resources. And it's playing the co-op multiplayer.
It sounds like the most damning thing about it is just the lack of variety.
Yeah. It's I mean, the final confrontation in that story mode is just a much longer and more annoying base defense than all the other base defenses you've done along the way.
Which you start doing 3 hours into the story?
Yeah.
You start doing it's basically a wave-based holdout thing.
Exactly.
Just build some fences and like hold zombies off for 3 minutes.
And then the multiplayer mode are just 4-player versions of those missions that you see in the single player for the most part. There's a couple areas that I saw on multiplayer levels that I never saw over the course of the campaign, like an airport level and stuff like that I assume are out there. But I never had to go to them as part of the story.
Speaking of defenses, like what else? You mentioned just like throwing up fences and poking them with sticks. Does it evolve much past that? You know,
so
you sort of like military fetishism. It's like, did you get any cool weapons?
I got a better spear.
Nice.
Eventually, you get a knife taped to the end of a stick.
I saw you went from a sharpened pipe to a staff with a knife taped to it.
Yep, totally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So there are really kind of 4 types of melee weapons. The spear, the thrusting weapon. You've got heavy weapons like big sledgehammers. You've got one-handed weapons like machetes and shovels. And 2-handed weapons like baseball bats.
Do those work well with the defenses?
No.
I didn't think so.
No.
There are different types of attacks. There's like thrusting versus swiping.
Yeah.
So like thrusting can go through fences, but swiping cannot.
Yeah, so like your one-handed shovel does not really even hit them through a fence. You eventually get, recipes for different types of fences. So you might build like a low concrete barrier.
Oh, sure. Okay.
And so you can attack over that with any of the other weapons. But that spear, when you level up and unlock the additional moves and upgrades and there's upgrades for each type of weapon. So like there are 3 things you can upgrade for thrusting attacks. There are 3 things you can upgrade for one-handed attacks. And it's always like make the combo go a little longer, add a sprint attack, and then like a heavy attack. So, if I ready the spear and hit X, there's a stamina expending thrust that's like, will go and really stick somebody. I found every other melee weapon in that game to be completely fucking worthless.
Great.
Because out in the open, when you're not trying to defend something, like you're really just better off running circles around the zombies until you get to their back, and then the prompt shows up to get a one-hit kill. You do that and move on. If you're attacked by hordes or whatever, like you can just like plop a fence up right there, and the zombies are so dumb that they will not make their way around the fence if you're standing directly on the other side of it.
Awesome.
So they'll just press up against it, giving you enough time to
get
some space or corral them or whatever you want to do.
Do you lose the ability to Fulton the zombies if you wait too long?
I don't know.
Like I've backstabbed a couple in the middle of a fight, but then had to like move away to deal with some other guys that were around. And then when I came back,
I have not experienced that.
What's the purpose of Fultoning?
It's faster and you get more.
You get
more currency out of it.
Okay.
If you backstab and send them through a wormhole, you get more upgrade points than if you
just
carve
them
up.
For the animals, if you punch them and instead of kill them, you can Fulton them back to your base, and then it's like it really is all base management because you've got people at your base, they can get sick. So you eventually have to build these mutualization centers that are just like, you need to put food and medical stuff into these cabinets so that the people at your base don't get sick and die. Man. So like that's the same stuff that you're using to keep yourself alive. So it ends up being like
take care of all these people.
Exactly. And
so,
these
animals.
Yeah. Well, the animals just spit out milk and mats over time, basically. So you can use that to craft better shit. It's not fun.
That's kind of the only thing that's keeping me going right now is like, so the upkeep is so harsh at the beginning. Like you've just got straight up hunger and thirst that are constantly ticking down. And,
you don't even get clean water.
Right. So knowing that there are systems in there to automate that stuff, because you can get like rain tanks that just catch water automatically. And then,
but it catches them slowly. Like this game, I feel like this is a game that should be free because of the number of microtransactions and stuff that are in there.
I honestly thought it was going to be.
$40 is way too much for what this thing is. Like I would have a hard time recommending it for anything higher than even 20, I would say. Okay. But even that's like a highly qualified, like, well, if you specifically want to see this train wreck up close and have a thing for like this type of survival, like.
So do they ever even make good on like the Dr. Goodluck stuff, like all the weird stuff they set up at the beginning? Like,
there is an arc to that story that pays off, and you're like, oh, fucking all right, I guess.
All right.
But it's if you're looking for a payoff that ties back into real Metal Gear, no.
Okay.
This is a self-contained thing.
All right.
That you get to the end of it, you get the reveal and go, oh yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Good to know.
Right. I guess I should have seen this coming, but I guess it's so inconsequential that like whatever.
Yeah.
And then it dumps you back into the world, and then you start getting like more survivors showing up, and then you start really building your base, and then it's like, okay, well now I need to build more fucking tents, I guess, because these people need a place to sleep, and then there's a 27% chance they're going to get injured, so I better go put some fabric in this cabinet so that lowers that percentage chance.
Remember at the end of Metal Gear Solid 2 where you fight your twin brother who's the president wearing a Dr. Octopus suit on top of Wall Street?
Yeah.
That was pretty fucking cool.
That was very fucking
Metal
cool.
Gear used to be pretty fucking cool.
Metal Gear was pretty fucking cool.
Just the last 30 seconds of you describing what happens in the end game of that game, I couldn't picture a more disappointing thing to a Metal Gear fan.
And then the stuff they want you to do post game, so like little like hardcore boss creatures will show up that you can go out and fight, and it's a more difficult fight against a bigger thing, and you're like, man, if there had been more variety over the course of the story mode, maybe I would feel a little bit better about doing this. But now it's like, I'm killing this for what? to build up this base I don't care about.
That's the thing to me, like, to what end are you doing all this stuff? Because
Right.
you can't take your base online, you can't show it to people, you
there's
can't
no-
there's not
defend it
like
from anything.
even like an online
No, there's nothing.
friend base thing.
No, you take your character into multiplayer matches, but that's it.
And so the late game stuff even starts to have level requirements and also survivor requirements. So you have, like they did in Phantom Pain, Metal Gear Survive has a thing where you will put people onto teams. So you have your base development team, your medical team, your expedition team. It'll go out and find you shit, and the base defense team, all this other stuff. The research and development team, every team has a grade as you assign players to it. It'll start like E, and then you assign one person to it. It'll go up to D. You find people that have an aptitude for that skill.
Yeah.
It can go up to C and B.
I think
and all
that stuff
this
even
other
goes back to like Peace Walker.
Right, exactly. So you will find items, you'll find blueprints, recipes for like sniper rifles and shit. That'll be like, you can't build this until your R&D team is a C. And I look at it and go like, okay, I have no missions right now to find new survivors. So like I'm physically incapable of doing the work to get there on this until I just wait for more people to show up.
Can you
Hopefully,
buy survivors?
No.
Okay.
Not at this time, I guess I should say.
Yeah, that's a weird
yeah.
caveat you have to add to.
Not right
all this
now,
stuff.
as far as I can tell. There is a thing you can buy that you can apply to your expedition team that will make it more effective, I think,
Okay.
in addition to
like
buying
a
more
buff.
slots. One of the other things that happens late game is you get a wormhole digger at your base. And over the course of the story, you will have to defend your base from zombie hordes as it digs. This is a thing you can do post-game as well. And it has a real-time function in it, and it's literally like, and you can pay to skip the timer. You can pay real money to skip the timer, because it'll be like, because you'll dig, and it'll be like, okay, there's going to be a 6-minute wave of enemies coming in, and they'll attack your base. So if you've got base defenders, that's good. If you've built turrets and fences and whatever around your base, now is the time to use them, because they're going to come attack your shit. You clear that wave. And this is just the first one. I assume that the timers go up, but you clear that wave, and it says, all right, they're going to attack again in 12 hours.
What? Like
That's 12 real hours. Whether you're there or not, they will attack. So that's why you have a base defense team, because you want that to be high level,
Right.
so that it can do the fighting for you. And then at the end of that, you just kind of get the same items you would get out of playing the co-op multiplayer. I assume the rewards end up being greater because of the time involved. But like after you're done with that wave and that timer appears, you can then go pay them an amount of real money to skip that timer and start the next wave.
Cool.
But for what?
Right.
I mean, I don't want to say but for what too much, because at some point, like, that's every video game ever. You're like, well, why am I doing this? And some games do a better job of like, because I can show it to my friends, because I'm enjoying it, like
Because
like
it increases like the difficulty in
That's
that
the
other
thing.
game
There's-
I'm having fun with.
There's nothing else there. Like I kind of liked the R&D base allocation stuff in Phantom Pain because it was a backdrop to a better game.
Exactly.
Like the
Yes.
mission,
you
the
could like take a
missions-
break, go on a few missions.
Well,
and
yeah,
then
it
be
was
like-
something to do in between, but the missions in that game, the stealth action, were the draw.
Yeah.
You know, like it was
Exactly.
cool. It was cool
Yes.
to develop all your
Yes.
stuff in the background in between, but
Totally.
that's not why it was there. But that sounds like that's all that there is here.
Yeah, and as you level up those teams, like the resource requirements for building some items start to go down. So like there's that payoff of like, well, it's maybe it's easier for you to craft bullets because you have a lot of people on this team or something.
Did you ever get to the point where you could just use guns willy nilly because you have enough?
You can't
stuff?
hold enough ammo
No.
to really make that. Like you can craft pouches that then go onto your shirts that hold more bullets and that sort of stuff. You can increase the amount of ammo you can hold, but never to a point where you're just like dumping all the time. Especially for some of these longer fights. Like I'm trying to think what the longest timer I saw on a wave. I think that there's like a mid-game fight that is like a 15 to 17 minute timer.
Damn.
Of just like, all right. Oh, that's what it is. You are securing a late game item, and it is like, okay, put up some fences. You can't hold a ton of these things, so make sure they don't break. And you're gonna defend this position for like 18 minutes. And it's just like, it's tense because if you lose, you have to do it all over again, and you're like, man, I don't want to fucking do this once, let alone twice. It's the worst kind of stakes of like, man, this is taking a long time, and if I fail it, I really don't want to do this again.
Yeah.
So I better do well. It's like it's creating the wrong type of tension because it's the tension of this is a bad thing that
do
it's
they,
making.
Do
me
they
do.
show you the timer up front?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, no. Well, I mean, as soon as when you
as it
start the
starts,
wave, you don't
yep.
see it before you hit go.
Yeah.
It's literally like, okay, they're going to start coming, and they're not going to stop for 18 minutes, and it's going to be some of the like harder types of enemies.
That's not good.
And so it's like, okay, well, I'm going to expend all my ammo here up front, I guess, and then it's going to be a lot of minutes of me poking people through fences.
I'm glad it was you. I mean, not that I have anything
Yeah,
against you, but I'm glad I didn't.
Like there
have
are
to go through that.
and there are later game items that you can find, and maybe if I had played more multiplayer, I would have found some of those recipes sooner or something like that. But there's like flame traps and shit where it's like, oh, when a zombie steps on this, it burns them, and that does extra damage. And
there's a lot of potential in that engine for some
totally
fun stuff,
and I think
in
that's
that universe.
I look at it as like that's the
goofy shit.
thing. They heard you.
Yeah.
There were a lot of people out there saying like, man, I would love to see another Fox Engine game.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, we don't have the money to really do this big, but we've got a lot of these assets, and let's do it. I wonder if there was ever a push internally to not use the Metal Gear name in that thing, because it is so not tied to those events. It just feels really, but at the same time, it's some of those assets, Like I wonder if they ever thought like, oh, well, we're not making a Metal Gear game, and then someone came in and said, the fuck you're not.
Big Boss is right there for like 10 seconds in the intro.
It's true.
It's a shame.
And like I think the assets, like I would have to go back and really stare at the maps of Phantom Pain and stuff like that. I know people were talking about this pre-release.
Yeah.
And you definitely see areas that you're like, oh, this is definitely this part of Afghanistan. This is definitely this exact structure is in
Like
this
some
other game.
spots,
But I don't know if it's the exact land mass
Yeah.
and or if they retooled it or rebuilt it. But it's because
Similar.
you're in the dust, and so you can't really see.
Yeah.
in the dust.
And like a lot of that survival stuff never really gets that much easier. Like you are building stuff at your base, like stuff like clean water becomes easier to come by. If you're building farms and stuff like that, and finding the animals to populate those farms, which was my problem. I built a goat cage, and then it was like 7 hours before I saw another fucking goat. Then some of the food requirements become slightly easier as well, though some of that may come at the expense of the health of the people at your base. And so you have, like, I ended up still having to take a lot of diversionary time to just like, I got to go out there and hunt. I got to get out here and get some more animals and do this stuff.
That alone may be killing my desire to play more of this, because like I said, it was the ability to automate all that upkeep that was keeping me going.
It's only now post game that I feel like the balance has evened out a little bit, but the oxygen thing never changes. The one thing you can do, well, and I guess I should say, like, I don't have 100% of the recipes, so like it's hard to say like definitively the oxygen situation is always the same, because I always wonder like, oh, is there going to be a bigger oxygen tank I'm going to get? Because I would like to, because exploring this world, like you at least early on, you think like, oh man, what's going to be around the next turn?
That's exactly what it is. Like I want to automate like water collection and food production and stuff like that, so I can go out and just like screw around and find stuff. But it sounds like you're
always tethered because of the oxygen thing. The one thing I found that could mitigate that somewhat was an item that you can plop down that refills your oxygen, and enemies will attack it, so it becomes another thing you potentially have to defend. And it's stationary, so it's not like you can. I don't think you can pick it back up and bring it somewhere else and plop it back down.
Is it single use, or you can keep coming back to it?
I think you can keep coming back to it, but you're never, you're never in one place long enough. Like it's easy to. The only place you're ever defending that's in the dust usually is like, another fast travel point, or some of these digger missions and stuff. And those can be long, but as long as you're unlocking the fast travel points first, warping back to base to refill on oxygen, going back out, like that was never the issue. It doesn't actually solve a problem. The problem I wanted to see solved was like, man, I would just like to spend more time out here without having to go back and refill anywhere. And that never really gets solved. But also, like, the world isn't worth it. The more time I spent out there and really started exploring more and more of it, you come to the realization of just like, oh, there's actually nothing out here. Like we saw in the quick look, there was the gigantic monster that you were like, whoa, what's that?
Lord of Dust.
The Lord of Dust.
Like I saw that and I was like, holy shit, I have to play more of this.
Right. Nope,
what the fuck is that?
That is the only thing.
Sounds like
that's the only thing like that.
The one interesting thing out there.
Until you get post game and some of these like powerful creatures show up. There's some weird fucking Lovecraftian monster.
Oh.
Yeah, no.
On
nothing.
roller skates.
No, nothing
No.
that good. And you eventually see the other environment from Phantom Pain as well.
Oh,
because there
okay.
were two there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So there are two here.
Huh.
Uh,
Is it connected to that first map, or it's like you port between?
you teleport between fields, basically.
Okay.
And it's really lifeless. You know, that's the worst thing I would say about it is that it's just like the tasks you're tasked with are generally pretty dull.
Yeah.
The world seems promising at the outset, but then as you start to fill in more of the mystery and start to spend more time looking around, like there's just not that much out there to see. It's just like, oh, here's another case that I can very slowly open and maybe I'll get a recipe out of it. No, no, it's just materials. Great, thanks. Glad I cleared out this area first before doing this. This was definitely worth it. Like early on, you see things that are promising, like the big monster. I found a Jeep at one point, and I was like, "Oh shit, there are vehicles out here." I think that might be the only Jeep, and it respawns. Like the area is
hard to get a Jeep through a wormhole.
It's true. And the story itself is dumb.
I'm okay with dumb, but
but not like in a fun way. It's just like when it wraps back around and like fills in the gap for you of just like, oh, here's the missing piece of information about the nature of this one character. You're like, oh, all right.
What do you know?
Sure, I guess.
What a bummer, man.
And I guess I'm just dumped back into this world to grow this base for the rest of time and theoretically spend more real money doing it. Like it's
damn it.
It's dull.
Is this the last Metal Gear game?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think that this is the thing
that has been my
they-
suspicion.
I wonder. I think this is the thing they made because they saw an opportunity. They saw players clamoring for one more thing with the Fox engine.
Yeah. And they just had all this stuff.
They had all this stuff
They spent
from
a
the last game.
lot of
Yeah.
money making MGS5.
Yeah.
But still, you could put some care into it. I mean, there's
And I'm sure,
so many really
you know,
like gross microtransaction shit going on in here. Like they're not building up any good faith. They're not doing fun stuff with the IP.
That's kind of what I'm saying. I don't know that they ever had any intention to, because I mean, they pretty conspicuously got out of big budget game development, right? Like that
seems like
more or less
I
what
mean,
they said, So like
this in soccer, that's Konami.
like
right?
I never expected them to fund another big like from the ground up Metal Gear game.
I was surprised when Super Bomberman R was announced for Switch. I was like, oh, Konami's still okay.
Because that's a new game, right? That
Yep.
hasn't been out on anything else.
That was a new thing. It was bad.
Yeah.
It was a bad game. So Phantom Pain had David Bowie and The Cure. Metal Gear Survive has Simon's Quest and Contra 3 music in it.
What?
Weird.
Like you find tapes.
Oh, just like background music.
Yeah.
Simon's Quest has okay music.
Yeah, it was like,
I'm kind of into that.
you build a little station at your base that plays tapes, and you're listening to suddenly the music from Contra 3 first level comes on, and you're like,
Yeah,
That's
I remember
really
that
weird.
song.
and it's this really bittersweet moment of just
Yeah.
like, man, I had a great time with some of these Konami classics.
As a metaphor, this game seems great.
Yeah,
Like big barren world.
In that way, it is very Metal Gear.
Yeah.
well, have you seen? I mean, did you see the image that was going around over the weekend of the sheet of code names?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
That I need to go back and it's hard because I can't create a new character without giving them $10.
right. Goddamn.
So I would like to see the start of that game again, but I have it on PC and I have it on Xbox, and I've played both in such a way that I'm like, well, I don't want to delete this character, and that's the only way to start over and see that sequence.
How many SV coins is it for another character?
1,000.
1,000?
Is that
Do
$10?
That's $10.
Do they
$10
keep
cash.
giving them to you? I have 80 SV coins right now. They give you some as a login bonus. I don't know if that's a constant thing.
They are doing a launch celebration that involves you getting some coins.
If you just play,
It's a celebration.
But not actually enough coins to actually spend on anything.
Totally. That's how it works.
Maybe by the end of the celebration, you will have enough to buy a thing, but I have
turnip
no idea.
for your
I have
farm.
no idea.
if they keep handing them out as a login bonus, if you just play Metal Gear Survive for another, say, 2.5 months, you'll be able to get another character.
I've got a better idea. What if we never talked about Metal Gear Survive again?
I can't guarantee
We'll
you
see.
that I won't
Yeah.
talk about this
Jeff,
game.
you don't have to do anything else with it. It's
He has
done.
to survive, Ben.
So
he has to survive.
When you talk about this game being like a metaphor, like that actually ties together with this sheet at the beginning of the game, where you enter your character name and then it shows, I guess it's Good Luck, the guy, shows him looking at the sheet and it's got all these other code names on it.
Yeah, it's a bunch of
Laughing Hyena.
It's a bunch of mother-based mercs like from Phantom Pain.
And if you look at
Dire Gibbon.
And if you look at the animal names, the second name, the last name of all these characters, and look down the list, it says, and this is from the image going around. I assume it's not doctored, but again, I have not verified this in game, but it looks like it says KJP forever.
Yeah.
Kojima Productions forever.
Yeah. I feel so bad for those guys that were working on this.
And
So-
the people that are that are listed at the heads of this game have history in Metal
Yeah,
Gear.
so I didn't get a chance to read it. I don't know if you saw that Matt Leone at Polygon did a feature story digging into the credits of this game.
Good. I was hoping someone would.
He did the work to
Makes
see,
sense that it would be Matt Leone.
see who,
Awesome.
yeah, totally,
Yeah.
totally. Like who worked on this game, and what connection they have to Metal Gear in
Right.
the past. I really want to read that.
It was like people that were on like the script unit for some of the previous Metal Gear games, but in ways that like some of them, like one of the bigger names in this game, it appears to have written codec conversations for like MGS4.
Interesting.
But like some of them go all the way back to MGS1
Wow.
and such. Like there are longtime people, and they might be Konami side. They might not have been Kojima side.
Yeah.
I don't know that stuff.
Yeah.
So I did not do the full research myself.
I saw. I think it was on Kotaku. I saw they pointed out that the special thanks of the game also credits. I think it's phrased MGS5 all staff.
Yeah, it's which of course they're gonna say that.
Well, yeah.
That's not like them having the headline of like the game thanks Kojima. And like no.
Well, no.
No.
That's maybe a little bit much, but like given the acrimony between him and Konami when he got out of there, like you could have seen them swoop in and say, "No, you can't say that."
I mean, them not thanking him by name and thanking all staff is 100%.
No, but
them.
I'm saying like they could have even shut that down.
No, this is the fucking backhanded way to. This is the worse than nothing thing to do.
Yeah,
of
feels like
thanks to everybody who worked on that game, whoever you are. That
You
is
know who you
100%
are.
that. That is 100% that. Like, don't. Yeah, I would not give them credit for that. If anything, that's slightly. I don't know. That's how I read it.
When you marry it to that list of soldiers, like it paints a different picture.
You're right.
If they're
at
like
that point, yes.
Like that kind of tells
At that
you-
point, it looks like a fucking hostage situation.
that's
They're fucking
exactly what
embedding
I'm- that's
secret
exactly
messages
what I'm
into the
saying.
game. There's like
Like that's exactly what I was getting at. Like
Yeah.
that's the best they could do given
Right.
the Konami management and their feelings on Kojima.
which is all hearsay, I guess, but seems pretty accurate. It's just I think it's a really lackluster product that does not capitalize on the Metal Gear name in a very good way, but also is not a good survival game. Not that it's like too harsh. It is harsh in ways that like limit the potential for enjoyment because like I said, it ends up tethering you back to base a little too frequently. You have to go back and kind of charge up and stuff, and then the world turns out to not be actually worth exploring unless you want a beret.
I do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I found a beret recipe, but by the time I found it, I had found
What flavor?
Is it
7
Is it
pieces of
raspberry?
armor that were better than it. So
Was it the Soviet beret?
yeah.
Yeah, I found that at that event. I was never able to build it.
Is the beret
me
recipe
sad.
cut some cloth in a circle and put a little bit of it on top, like
Yeah.
a flap?
Something like that. It's
Like
like 2 screws and 10 iron, and no, it's not for beret, but like the stuff you build for like 10 screws and 5 wood, like that hold fucking metal things all the way around your base and stuff. Like the requirements are not harsh for most things. What they do is actually include rare items in the thing. So like, these resources are actually hard to come by because it's like a field manual. I don't even know where you get one of those. If that's something that's like, it looks like something that would only be a reward for multiplayer thing of like, you got a weapons field manual and you need 5 of these to make this sniper rifle. And your team has to have a C rank and this sort of stuff. And you have to be overall level 30 in your main class.
And
So
you
when
have to be online between the hours of 8 p.m. and 6 a.m.
you have to be online all the time. The game will disconnect you if you do not have internet.
Awesome.
I've seen multiple, since your initial tweet about losing progress, I've seen multiple people, all with like different ways of losing progress in that game.
Yeah. I had the game crash on me on PC. I think actually I had the game crash on me on Xbox. I was crafting something and I held down A and then just went brrr, and started like a stuck audio buzz and then it just crashed back to the dashboard. I was like, sweet, great. That was the point where I thought maybe I should stop playing it on Xbox. Yeah, it's Metal Gear Survive is a depressing
I'm bummed
product.
out now.
Like I wanted to see it through because I felt like I had to know.
Yeah.
I felt like one of us had to know. And now I know.
Yeah.
This is disappointing to me
Thank you,
because
Jeff.
this is one of the first things I was just steadfast in my cynicism about.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, there is absolutely no way this game is going to be good. There's no way I'm going to be surprised in the slightest. And it came true. And it's just like, what does that mean for me as a person now?
Yeah. You have the sight. That's the thing is, I feel like we've heard so many stories over the years about, and I think, this is true of a lot of games. Like, Kojima gets framed like put up there as the maker of Metal Gear and all this other stuff. And I think, it ended up being around MGS4. It was the time that I heard it kind of most frequently was this idea of just like, he's definitely there, but like there are people under him that are super fucking key to this project that make a ton of really major decisions that are the people that are making it feel like Metal Gear, quote unquote. Like you definitely heard a lot of people saying like, oh, actually the talent is a little more distributed than you might think. So on some level, I was like interested to see like, okay, well, like who's left to make this game? Like, will this end up still being Metal Gear-y enough to where you see a way through for it to continue?
Right, where it's like, oh, it doesn't have like that Kojima twist on it, but it feels like a Metal Gear game.
Yeah, I might argue that like Phantom Pain doesn't have a ton of that Kojima twist on it. Like, there's enough of it.
I don't know.
There's enough
No,
of it.
it does.
In the story
episode 2
stuff.
trailer starts. It's pretty fucking Kojima.
But there's no characters. It's
dude,
right.
right? There's like 8 major characters in that game.
But like the gameplay,
none of them are even close to like
the game has like no ending. I'll give you that. But like it
has no good like boss moments. It has no good like enemies.
It feels like a very big divergence from what we think of as Metal Gear prior to this.
Yes.
You think about those long ass cutscenes from 4. Phantom Pain has that fucking Jeep ride at the end, and you go like, man, there it is.
It's got plenty of it's got plenty of cutscenes. It's padded out by so much more like straight gameplay though.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not a condensed story. It is much more like systems-driven, like mechanics-heavy game.
Exactly.
It's way more fun to play.
Yes, totally.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it is the best game I think
Yes.
that Metal Gear's ever produced, but also
like the
maybe
least Metal Gear.
But yeah.
Is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
And this just feels like they turned that knob the rest of the way and said now it is not Metal Gear-y, except for the 2 things you recognize from Metal Gear that are not used to great effect.
It's got those sound effects.
Yeah, it does.
Pick up an item.
Like Dan, I think Dan tweeted about that. It didn't even like consciously register until he said it that the pickup noise is so satisfying.
Well, if you like
game.
that pickup noise, let me tell
heard a
you,
lot.
if you level up the Scout subclass, one of the abilities you can pick for it is when you pick up an item, it picks up all other items around you automatically. Which makes that noise like 7 times in a row. Just pops it off.
That's pretty good.
Which is like cool at first, and then you realize like, oh, I actually want to be selective with what I'm picking up because I'm near my weight limit.
Oh, right.
And like filling up on a bunch of fucking wood automatically, and then having to go into a menu and manually fucking discard it sucks.
Oops.
Do you lose upgrades for your old class if you switch to a new class? I don't have
no.
the option to get multiple classes.
So the subclass system, like you start with Survivor, when you level that up all the way. Then
that's how you get other classes?
It opens 4 subclasses.
Okay.
And those you switch between.
Okay.
So there are skill trees for each one of the subclasses. It's like Assault, Scout, Medic, and Jaeger, like a bow, like a bow marksman class.
Those sound like they are made for multiplayer.
Kind of.
Like, why would you need a medic class if in a single player game?
Well, the meta class ends up being like when you use med spray, it's a mist that also heals other players around you and shit like that. But then as you level up those,
how does getting better at being a doctor give you the ability to, instead of spraying something on yourself, you're just like, oh, I had a really good idea. What if I just kind of shoot it up?
Shoot it up in the air, and everybody is.
Jesus.
The Division did the same thing. So with the subclasses have abilities and further upgrades for even just like strength and stamina and stuff like that associated with them. But when you level up a subclass, you then have to activate the individual skills on that thing individually, and you only have like 4 slots for your subclass stuff. So Those also come with like bonus moves, basically. So I have stealth camo now. And it's like you hit the Y button and you turn invisible for some number of seconds, and then a meter drains, and then it fills back up, and you pop it again. And so if you like stealth, that's the thing, because you can make your footsteps silent, and you can have that ability, and then you can just stealth kill fucking everything. Shooting does not break stealth. You can just fucking... Because the zombies are idiots.
Yeah. They don't have heads.
They don't have fucking heads. But if you shoot them in said head, it will do more damage.
Yeah. A crystal shot.
Yeah, something. It is. I was fascinated by it, and I would love to hear more about how it was made. I would like to. I would read a story about that for sure.
Yeah.
But I would certainly not recommend it to anyone at this time.
I wonder if it'll go free to play at any point.
If it is on steep discount, and you have any love for like the type of survival that you've seen in videos of this game, I might say give it a look. But
if it's like, say, $10-$15
sure,
or something,
maybe at that point.
Yeah.
This game is like a 2 out of 5 game. Absolutely. It is
below par.
Below par.
All right.
Seems as such. Sorry, man. But
I did it to myself. Whatever. It's not. Yeah.
Thanks for doing the due diligence.
Oh boy.
Taking one for the team.
Well, now we know.
Yeah, like we were initially like, oh, let's get it in here. Maybe we'll run some multiplayer streams and stuff like that. But like that aspect of the game is so fucking dull.
Well, like you said, it is promising at first. And when I played the first like 2 hours of it a few weeks ago, that was just enough to pique my interest. And I was like, there might actually be something here.
But like every answer to your question is just kind of like a wet fart. There's just nothing.
Yeah,
there's nothing to it. It's no.
All right. Good to know. Ben, I want to hear about Hunt Showdown.
Hunt,
I am seeing more and more people talk about this game.
no space Showdown. From what I understand.
Because they couldn't get a trademark on just Hunt.
So yeah,
this is a little bit about this. What's the pedigree behind it? Like
Crytek.
It's Crytek.
Yeah,
there
it's
we go.
Crytek.
Okay.
It's on CryEngine.
Which is like maybe the craziest thing about this is like Crytek put out a game that people are kind of going nuts for.
Well, they needed to put out something that would get people into their cryptocurrency.
I guess.
So.
Oh shit! Yeah, now's the time to get in,
I mean,
While this game's getting hot.
How many Cry
this game's getting
coins do
hot,
you get
how many? Yeah.
when you install this?
None yet, but that might just be because of server errors, of which there have been plenty. I should say this game is very early access. They are very upfront about it. They are posting multiple updates a day, talking about like, we're going to do a server refresh in 30 minutes. Like if you have a character, make sure to save properly, because, well, I should back up. This game is a kind of battle royale meets Left 4 Dead bounty hunting game.
It's like PvP and PvE.
PvP and PvE. So
the way I heard it described at one point was it's like Evolve, but with a more competitive aspect to who is hunting the target.
It's like Evolve, but the targets are all AI. So there's not somebody controlling the targets. So how it works is even before you start playing, you start the game with $666 because
what?
Yeah, because this game is dark and
this game is on the devil's level.
There's lots of evil things and dreams may wait you in this strange swampy world of yours. So you start out by picking up a hunter. There's like usually 3 up for sale, and they each have different weapons, different sub-weapons, different passive abilities. And then you can even buy like certain items. So you have a level account, and it'll open up what you can buy as you level up your account. So right now, you like the only tool you can buy at level 1 is a little health syringe that'll kind of heal you, or the only consumable you can, or that's the only consumable you can buy. The only tool you can buy is a little lamp that can give you some light if it's dark.
And so, every time you start with $666 and no items. Is it like a fresh start every time?
I don't know when it's not every time you log in, because I am currently at like $400 and something.
Okay, but you still have the syringes and the lamp.
So that's the thing. If your character dies, you die. You lose your character. You lose the things you've bought for your character. Your persistent level stays.
Yeah.
So your class
Is that like an account level?
Yes.
Okay.
And then you can. So if you win a round, you can upgrade characters. But the gameplay works where it's all teams of 2, and you drop on a big map. And if you open your map, you can see like 8 or 10 different little location, like named locations, like you would in PUBG, right? Little cities or stuff.
Yeah.
And what you do is you head to one of them, and you go into your true sight, which is kind of like a Batman detective vision thing, and you'll find like a blue trail leading to a clue. Usually when you arrive to one of these places, it's kind of infested by zombies. There's kind of, your classic zombies that you can kill with like a little machete, a couple hits from a machete or your rifle or whatever.
Like fast zombies or slow shamblers?
They're shamblers, and then they see you, they get a little speed going.
Okay.
Pretty classic. I feel like that's the pretty classic modern video game zombie. Is like they're kind of slow, but then once they get a lock on you, they get going.
Yeah, I was thinking like Left 4 Dead, where it's just like they're running constantly.
Yeah,
Okay.
but not as hordy as Left 4 Dead.
Okay.
These guys are coming at you 1, 2, 3 at a time max.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's also a couple big guys who will take a little bit of team coordination to take down. They eat a lot of bullets. They do a lot of damage. You don't want them to hit you.
Do they explode? Are they fat ones?
So far, no. There's pretty limited in the types. I've only seen
It's early
2
access.
special types.
Okay. All right.
And the point of hunting those things down is XP, right? Like
So
you're leveling up.
XP or like
Those
resources
guys give you XP, or just survivability, right? Because you have to get in there to get the clues. And what the clues do is they will, when you pull up in your map, the first clue will kind of show you like, okay, your target. So you have a target when you take the mission, like the butcher, right? And he's like a
boss,
big
basically.
zombie,
Okay.
a big boss zombie.
Does everybody have the same target?
Everyone has the same target, and there's only one of them on the whole map.
Okay.
What you do with the clues is it kind of narrows down the location on the map of where this target will be. So the first clue will kind of cut it down by 1/3. The second clue will cut it down by 2/3, and the last clue will show you exactly which of the named location the boss is at. And where it gets tricky is everyone's getting clues and everyone's hunting for the same thing. So if you come across another hunter, you want to take care of them right away.
Are they coming for your clues? Will they get to your clue first, or do they have separate?
It seems like clues, anyone can take a clue. I could be wrong about this, but it seems like anyone can take a clue. But if you see somebody there, like you can totally stake out a place and wait for somebody to go get the clue and then shoot them.
Okay.
And there's all the environmental things like chains over doors that'll make a sound, or a bunch of birds on the ground. If you get close to them, they'll start cawing.
Oh, that's very evolvey.
Yeah.
Okay.
Water, a lot of like it's very swampy. Kind of there might be 2 locations, but I've only played on one, and there's a day version and a night version.
Could you come across the target?
Totally, but
Okay.
the areas
So you don't
are
have to
large
like
enough.
unlock his location.
You don't like if you've narrowed it down a little bit, and you're just like, well, I'm gonna just search
Take
this
a
area.
guess here. Yeah.
They're big enough that you probably could search one in like 4 or 5 minutes, thoroughly. But yeah, so there's only one of those boss monsters, and to win the round, you have to kill the monster. Well, you don't have to kill the monster, but once the monster is killed, it drops 2 tokens, one for you and one for your partner.
You take them both and kill your partner?
No.
Okay.
Because you get a bonus if you and your partner get out with one.
Ah.
You get like 3 times the amount. And then get to an exit. And there are 3 exits. Those are static locations on the map, kind of spread equally out.
Oh, so if you get the token and somebody else finds you and kills you before you escape, they take the token?
Totally.
Oh, man.
I don't know if there's a way. So I've never gotten the token. I've only played with randos. I feel like this is definitely right now, especially because everyone is pretty new to it, a game that will help tremendously if you can pair off with a friend.
And it is forced 2-player. Like there's no I mean, you can join
It
alone,
says
but
coming
it'll
soon for solo stuff.
Yeah.
So maybe they're working on
so
it.
it'll match you with a random player every time. Okay.
And it's great because the match starts the same way every way, which is you're standing there face to face with your partner, and you're shaking your body back and forth because that's the only thing you can do while you wait for all players to load in, which takes like 2 minutes. So you just like spin yourself around, and the models will match it. So you just kind of bond with your partner that way, get a good like rapport going.
That was basically your first day on the job, is we just kind of sat in a semicircle. And
Just
shook
like
our body
a
around.
little this, a little of this.
Yeah.
But yeah, so right now it feels a little. If I could compare its shooting to anything, it's like PUBG without scopes. It's very deliberate. Because you're using it's like I don't know the exact word to describe the era it's evoking, but it's like a little maybe Lovecraftian, kind of like a lot of like single shot gun.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Or like you like 2-shot shotguns.
Okay, I was envisioning like modern or future military. For
no,
this
is a little more grimy. These dudes all have big beards and patchy clothes and like Victorian kind of like visions of like and especially it's actually a little more Lovecraftian, especially when you activate your like detective vision to look at the clues, because clues are just big gaping black holes in the ground that shoot blue sparks out, and it's gross. But it seems cool. It seems like they have to add a bit more to it, and it seems like they have a lot of coming soon stuff like locked away behind that's grayed out and says coming soon. So it seems like they have a pretty clear vision of different types of targets that they're going to put in the game, or different kinds of maps.
Do they have different classes or skills and abilities?
So yeah, each of the recruits, which seem to be randomly generated, or maybe they cycle them every couple hours. I don't know exactly how it works, but they all have one ability. Like this dude uses healing items faster, or this guy has a more steady shot. But other than that, the equipment is kind of the only distinct thing.
Okay.
And that's the stuff you're unlocking as you level your account up. The stuff you level up your character, they'll get like more HP, better stamina, stuff like that.
Some of the stuff I've seen about it sounds really interesting. Like specifically the way you can mess with other people and kind of like come up with strategies on the fly. Like I've seen people saying like you can kind of camp quietly and wait for somebody to whittle the boss down most of the way, and then just fucking cap them and take the boss.
Yeah, so there's a lot of strategy there. Like if you think you guys are the first one on the scene, you can I could see, I mean, a lot of this is me just kind of theorycrafting and looking at videos and stuff, but it feels like one of those things where like if you manage to find the boss right away, take them out and run. But
does it have enough health that it's going to take you some time? Like you might get jumped.
And different bosses have different strengths and resistances. Like the bosses I was hunting most often had like resistance to fire and was weak to shotguns, right? So if you were spec'd out to kill them fast, then you can kill them fast. If you weren't, then you were better off kind of waiting and stalking another one. But
if you were to take down the boss and get those tokens, do the other players immediately get like
notified
you on the map? Do they see where you are to hunt you?
I believe the way it works, and I could be wrong because I've only seen it on video. I've never gotten the tokens, is that you can use the clue vision and it will point you towards there will be a trail pointing you towards those coins.
I think I read like outside of that, there's no like player markers or even like death notifications, right? Like
nope.
It sounds like it's all based on like sight and sound, where the other players are and what they're doing and stuff. Like that sounds kind of fascinating.
And it has like that very similar compass that PUBG has, where it has the cardinal directions, but then the numbers, and then you don't even know. There's no indication on the HUD of where your partner is. If you pull up your map, it'll show you their location, but even that can be tricky because like sometimes I would lose sight of my partner and then hear some rustling and not know if that was my part. Like I'd have to really quickly pull up my map. So I feel like this game does definitely have room to grow. I really hope they figure out their server stuff sooner rather than later, but early access, who knows?
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to have any of that cry tech jank either. Like once you're in a game, it seems pretty solid. I've had no like weird glitching or.
How long has it been in early access?
Yeah, it's pretty new. I think a week or two.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that thing sounds cool. I want to check that out.
Yeah, we should check it out soon. I really want to get in some games with a friend, somebody I can like be on Discord with and kind of talk out. Not only like talk out like, oh, there's a guy over there, but like think about strategy, right? And
do you think I downloaded it? I just haven't had time to try it.
Do you think there's room to add like a 4-player team mode?
I don't see why not.
Map's big enough to support 40 people or more. Wait, how many teams is it? 10 teams?
Around 10 12. I can't remember the exact number, but it feels pretty like it's pretty rare when you come across another team. Like I've in the 5 or 6 games I played, outside of like teams who had killed us, I killed like 3 or 4 people.
Okay.
But the enemies can be pretty damn, like they can take you out if you like, because there's a lot of there's like cages and ladders and stuff, so there's geometry within the world to avoid zombies, because like they can't climb as fast as you, or if you like shut a door behind you, they'll have trouble opening it. But if you get like cornered, or if your partner draws a bunch of aggro and then gets you cornered, you will die
Asshole.
pretty quick.
Hmm.
You can res, but every time you res, it takes a chunk out of your health bar until you are at one chunk, and then you cannot be resed. But then if your character dies, your character dies. So we'll see. We'll see like what they do with what kind of characters they add and that progression stuff. I think that is kind of the more interesting. It's one of the more interesting things it has going for it versus like PUBG.
It sounds like a cool mashup of some different
Yeah,
kind of popular.
Yeah.
it feels like it might carve out its own niche.
Yeah. I definitely want to see that.
It's cool that we're getting to a point, like, like games have swung back and forth so many times with like what they think of as like difficulty. Like going back and playing like some PS2 and PS3 games, like a little bit lately, and just seeing how they handle like early game information. Like the hand-holdy tutorial didn't really exist as much on PS2 or that generation. And then over the course of like the 360 and PS3 and that era, is feel like when they were like,
So
we
many
are going to
tooltips,
force you through this stuff so you know everything. And now then like it feels like post Demon Souls, Dark Souls, that stuff taking off, like we've kind of swung back this other way for like you can have these games where information scarcity is a feature and not like a bug,
Right.
It's neat.
Yeah, that element of surprise sounds like the coolest thing in that game to me, of just not knowing where people are. Like,
Yeah.
not even knowing how many people are left alive because it doesn't tell you when people die.
Yeah, totally.
In
Like
any kind of HUD
you
way.
can kind of think you're just alone. You can kind of forget that there's even other players on the map.
Yeah, that's neat.
I want to check it out.
Yeah, let's do it. But before we do that, let's take a break. Let's take a break. I was very excited at 7 a.m. this morning
Why?
because Into the Breach, the new game from FTL people, came out
Yeah.
Oh, right,
at 7 a.m. on
I
Steam.
thought that was something completely different. I saw some
Yeah.
screenshots, and this looks right up my alley.
Did you like FTL?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I liked it.
So the core thing you're doing in this is different. It's basically an 8x8 grid-based, turn-based strategy game, like kind of simplified. But everything around the edges of it is like so FTL. It's like way more than I was expecting.
It's like FTL with but Advanced Wars for the gameplay.
Yes, basically. But,
Holy shit.
But
I am all about this.
the unlock structure, the way that like achievements and like basically the way that progress accrues and carries over from run to run, because it is still run based. It's still a roguelike-ish kind of game. Exactly the same. Like same internal achievement system that unlocks new types of like in FTL you were unlocking mostly new ships. There were some other things, but mainly it was new ships. In this, so it's turn based. And you basically have a 3-mech team that you are going up against giant subterranean bug monsters
Kaiju?
in a future, kinda,
Okay.
in a future Earth that has been flooded by climate change, and the few remaining islands are all owned by different corporations.
Ripped out of the
A
headline.
completely fictional
And you're a time traveler.
video game.
You and your mechs are traveling back in time to this shitty future
What kind of mechs we talking?
to work for.
Big Gundam looking. They like
yes,
big.
yes,
Okay.
they are very.
They're mecha, not
very,
mechs.
yes, they're very green, and they look like military hard.
Do any of them have
Okay,
swords?
so they're mechs, not mecha.
Yes.
Okay.
They're like drab olive green.
Got
Okay.
it.
Actually, come to think of it, the starting team, only one of them is like a bipedal mech. The other two are like just like a
Spider tank.
straight firing tank, and then kind of a lobbing artillery tank. Like it's just straight up tanks.
Long shooting.
It's really easy to get your head around. Like it's super easy to just the basic movement and attack stuff. But there's a ton of nuance to it. I guess the closest analog to the fuel from FTL is what they call a power grid in this. It's the same. It looks like the same type of meter, and that goes down every time the bugs attack buildings on these little maps. So, in addition to killing bugs, you're trying to stop them from hitting buildings that are scattered around. And there's a big component of pushing units around. Like when the mech punches, you push back a square. When the artillery fires, the thing it fires on takes damage, but everything, the 4 squares around it, get knocked back. If you knock them into like mountains or buildings, they take damage. Tons of stuff like that. Like you can set forest tiles on fire, and then you can knock a guy into fire, and he'll catch on fire.
That
and
sounds like a
damage over time.
a really good way to like take a limited grid, right?
Yeah.
Because you said it's fairly
Yeah,
small.
like when I first looked at it, and I was like, it's only 8x8. That sounds tiny, but like there's a ton of room for like specific strategy, and
Yeah.
especially like you can set up. I only played like a run and a half, but you can definitely set up a lot of like clockwork situations of like, all right, I'm going to punch this guy over one square, and then he's going to take a hit from this guy, from this other bug. It's aiming at this building, and then like the artillery will knock this guy into the water, and he'll, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like tons of combo attacks.
That's cool.
Yeah, and the mechs have pilots, like named pilots that I still haven't quite gotten my head around this. They level up in the middle of a run. I think they all start at level 1, and they level up and gain abilities through the run.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when you die, you can pick one of your 3. If they haven't, God, I'm not sure. Like, there's a way to carry over one of your pilots to your next
sort
run.
of persistence.
Okay. Yeah, there's a way to carry one pilot over. Basically, I think you get to pick whichever
Time
one you want.
travel.
It is literally time travel. So like one of the missions, and this is kind of FTL-ish in that like you would run into a bunch of like one-off situations that you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like one mission, I was like literally 3 turns into the mission, all of a sudden this pod comes flying out of nowhere and hits the map, and it was like, hey, a time travel pod showed up. You should go recover it and see what's in there. And I went and recovered it, and it was an upgrade point for one of my mechs and a new pilot. Like just
cool.
like, hey, here is a pilot from the future. And that actually unlocked her permanently. So now I have the starting pilot and another one to pick from on my next run. And they have different inherent abilities. Like the one dude gets extra XP from kills, but then this lady, I think whatever mech she's piloting starts with a shield automatically, stuff like that.
Cool.
So there's definitely like stuff to accrue from run to run. You just get that one set of 3 mechs, but there's like 15 or 20 other teams, and they're all silhouetted, so you can't really see what they do, but you can kind of see the outlines, and it looks like a bunch of different types of mechs in those teams that you can unlock.
Like once you get those unlocked, they can show up in a subsequent run.
I think it's achievements that unlock the different types of mech teams.
Okay.
I don't know how many different types of units there are in there, but it's super easy to pick up, but tons of nuance. Like I said,
look
the look is fantastic.
It looks like the old like a front mission, like Super Nintendo.
Yeah, it's all pixel RD. Same composer that did the FTL soundtrack, so like that's fantastic. It's like $15. Like
Is it completely turn based where I can like set it down and go do something?
You can even save a run and quit.
Okay, great.
And start it up again later.
It's Into the Breach.
Yeah.
Is this out?
Yes, came out. It came out this morning.
Steam only right now.
Yeah, it's only Windows right now. I think it sounds like they're doing Mac and Linux next. There's no like Switch or mobile ports.
Okay.
I played most of FTL on the iPad, so I really hope they put out an
Same
iPad
here.
version of this thing. I actually got back into FTL a few months ago when I got a new iPad, and like I love that game, but I also fucking hate it for how like I don't know, man. Did you guys ever get to the end of that thing?
No, not that.
Never got to the Rebel flagship.
Oh yeah.
I think
Fuck
I got
that
there
thing.
once. And
Like the last time I got to that thing on the iPad version, I literally quit out and deleted the app.
Yeah.
Like it's so goddamn hard. Like it'll just like
It's a lot of heartbreak in that game. Yeah.
Like you can literally be having like the best run of your life in that game, and that thing can murder you in like 90 seconds. Like it's just so crazy hard. This seems really hard too. Like I got to the end of the first island and could not beat the boss, and there's like 4 or 5 islands I think for a full run, like to beat, like quote unquote beat the game.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's a Rebel flagship equivalent.
Well, I some of the reviews I saw said it's still challenging like FTL was, but not punishing in the same way. Like it's not quite as brutal at the top end. I played like an hour of it this morning, and it's like all I want to do is go home and play more of it. Like it's super addicting.
Great.
Sounds good.
It's really cool.
I've been looking for a new play on my laptop in front of the TV game.
It is totally that. Like it's totally turn based, so you can just let it sit if you get distracted. But I really hope they start doing some like portable versions of that thing.
super cool.
Yeah.
Jason, we'll check it out.
Yeah. You got anything you want to?
More Monster Hunter, of course.
Yeah.
They put on an event right now that gets you a shitload of hunter rank experience. So that grind that I was talking about last week, this kind of mitigates that. But
I heard there were people that had like hunter ranks like 700, just like hundreds and hundreds.
Yeah, you can go.
I didn't realize.
Like 999
I thought it actually topped out at 100. So that was when I saw that last night.
Starts, man.
Oh man.
No. That game still does such a good job of giving you short-term goals. Like, I'm working on specific weapon sets now, and I'm having a really good time like doing mixed sets as well. And I'm trying to stay away from like guides and shit that are like, this is the optimum thing that you want if you're like a longsword user. But I've had way more fun just putting stuff together by myself. So staying away from the arena stuff, just gonna get my hunter rank up and make cool fucking weapons. That game is fantastic. It
Still got you.
Yeah, a month after it's been released, and people are still heavy into it. It's cool, like hopping on my friends list, and there's like 20 people playing it still. And I never expected this game to take off the way that it did. I'm really happy.
It's like, what do they say? Like fastest Capcom fastest selling Capcom game ever. something
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
It's
Millions and
pretty
millions,
crazy.
and millions. But I've had to play some other stuff as well.
Like it was number 1 on both consoles last month. Like it beat. I saw.
Really?
I don't know if I guess it was NPD. It beat PUBG on Xbox.
Wow.
Wow.
Sucker.
So yeah, like it's doing pretty well.
Yeah, lots of people streaming it as well.
Yeah.
But
Any news on the Aloy armor?
no
event?
date yet.
I don't,
as
I don't,
far
I don't
as
want
I
to miss
know.
that. I guess I'm sure it'll get around when that happens. People will be talking
I
about it.
kind of
but-
want to finish that Ryu event, but I just don't know that I have it in me
Is
to
it still
fight
going?
that Bareth. It goes till well, it said early access for people that had Street Fighter V save data until the 1st, which I
Okay.
assume means as of the 1st, it'll open up to more people, but I guess I don't know.
Let's just hop in and knock those out. Like if we
Yeah,
get better
I just
times,
need
like
to do-
you'll get more
Right.
tickets.
I
So
just-
you
I
might
think
only
I
have
need,
to run it a
I think
few
I need
times.
3 more.
Okay, that could
don't
be
know.
one run.
I gotta run
Yeah.
some. I maybe I'll do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do want to find a partner for some of the arena stuff because they're geared towards 2 people.
Yeah.
It sucks doing that solo for sure. But yeah,
I'm in a weird part with Monster Hunter where I am in the middle of switching to a new weapon. And it's like I'm up against the hardest monster I've had to hunt at this point.
Oh, so you're having to
And
relearn this,
So
or like learn this.
Should I
weapon
like
from
go on
scratch?
older expeditions and just like fuck around, or because like I don't know the combos.
Well, yeah,
I
I mean,
don't
you
know
need to
the-
put in time with a weapon. When I started
Totally.
trying to learn switch axe, that's exactly what I did. Is I started going back on.
Because I'm stubborn.
Investigations
I'm
and
still
stuff.
relatively early where I'm like, oh, I have to push through. I want to make it to where I can like play with my friends without causing a big hassle of going and seeing cutscenes and stuff.
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
investigations are probably the best way to do old stuff, right?
Yeah,
The-
yeah,
In terms of just like tangible rewards you get.
yeah.
Isn't that- they
Essentially,
pay out the most.
Mhm.
What are the like the little question mark icons on those things? The color, like the bronze, silver, and
Like
gold.
the rarity
Rewards.
Are
essentially
those-
of the
Are those
rewards.
specifically parts from the monster you're hunting that you get?
No, not
or could it just
necessarily.
be anything?
It can be anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
I feel like generally it's
Generally, yeah.
monster parts of
But
some
yeah.
kind.
Yeah, sometimes you'll get, just like generic bones or
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
ores or anything.
Yeah, for like
something
bronze
like
stuff
that.
especially, it'll be like, here's a M bone.
There you go. Good old M bone.
Mm-hmm.
The M bone's connected to the L bone.
Really?
Sword Art Online.
What?
Now
Fate-
you're talking my language.
Fatal Bullet. I have not played any of the other Sword Art Online games. From what I've seen,
Why?
they've been like, because I'm done with anime games. No, I'm not.
That's not true.
That's not true. You're gonna keep giving it to me. But the gameplay in like a lot of JRPGs, like action, I'm really not into as of late. But this one is more of a third-person shooter, developed by Dimps.
Yeah,
as
Dimps
well.
did this shit, right?
Yeah, so I'm totally interested in checking this out. So I popped it in yesterday and played for a couple hours, and I still haven't done anything. There was one sequence in which they're like showing me around the world, this virtual reality world. That's actually the setup. Is you're going
it's
to play
an anime
like an
about kids that play an MMO, right?
yeah, VR
Yeah.
MMO. This one's all about like guns as opposed to like fantasy sword based magic stuff. Anyway, so they're showing me around the virtual world, and I had like 5 cutscenes before they got me to the one fucking shop that I had to look at, and they're introducing me to like 10 different characters. I went through one tutorial. I played for 20 minutes, but yeah, 2 hours later, I'm still doing cutscene stuff, and I want to play the game. That's rough.
Just an
Just let me play. Just let me play it.
Watch the entirety of Sword Art Online, and then you can just skip the cutscenes
Oh, yeah,
because
that's
you'll
true.
know everything that's going on.
Yeah, I wonder what the tie-in with this game is. 'Cause
I have no idea.
Yeah, from what I understand, it's an offshoot. Because you do create a character, right? So obviously, that's not anybody who's like canon.
Yeah,
or
you're like
anything.
popping in to this world probably.
It's it's an interesting world. It's weird, them breaking the fourth wall. Like it really takes you out of it when they're talking about like microtransactions and like post like end game content and shit like that.
But
It's
like
just
they
so
mean
weird.
in their fake game inside the game,
Yes.
not actual. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a strange juxtaposition as well. And they've got a bunch of characters that are like AI that are like brought in from other games. There's a whole thing.
This just sounds like .hack to me.
Yeah.
There's definitely a little bit of that. But
Or Phantasy Star Online 2, the animation.
Right.
The anime in which high school kids played PSO2.
I want to go back to
Was
that
there just
time
any
in
like
my life.
footage of the game in there?
Yes.
Like just
Kind
actual,
well,
just
kind of.
actual
No,
game
no.
footage?
Like
It
shots.
is animated. It looks like the game,
Okay.
but it looks better than the game.
Okay. It's like that South Park WoW episode.
Yeah.
Like it's
Or-
the game, but a little too good
Yeah.
to be the game.
Or the modern popular anime Gamers,
Right.
in which there's like
I've not
just
seen that.
footage of Guilty Gear and shit like in the middle of episodes
There's really an anime called Gamers.
with an exclamation mark.
Oh,
They know their
what's the
audience.
Z situation? Is there a Z?
No Z. Sans
Z.
Z.
Okay.
Sans Z.
The Z is implied.
So I'm
That's
gonna
one
stick
thing.
with this a little bit longer.
Yeah, all right.
Just to see if there is anything to this gameplay. Yeah, that Dimps is producing it.
I don't know.
This could be something fun.
I
or
feel like
cool.
we're
I don't
reaching
know.
a critical mass of anime in this office.
Yeah, potentially.
It's society
careful.
kind of. I feel like
Please be careful.
I got into a lift the other night and the driver and
Had
a
cat ears
passenger. No, they were just talking about their favorite anime and like manga, like documentaries.
you?
And stuff. No, to each other. And I wasn't. Even,
Oh, it was like a.
I was just like listening, and I was like, "This is
Creeped out a little bit.
like, not necessarily creeped out. Just kind of like, am I? Am I like? Where am I? What's going on? So I feel like Dragon Ball's back in the public consciousness.
Uh-huh.
I feel like, that anime has moved forward to a point where there is enough good anime out there that more people are kind of checking it out here and there, and it's
Certainly
weird.
more diverse than
It's
it used
weird.
to be. Yeah.
Mm.
it's weird. Anime is weird.
I was watching PBS last night, and there was an ad for some like making of anime documentary that's going to be on NHK World this
Huh.
weekend. It was just like
Okay.
behind the scenes in the anime studio, basically.
Yeah, I
Like,
wonder if
just-
it's the one that I left driver was talking about. You were talking
I don't
about a
know.
documentary.
Yeah.
Or
It's just like
bastards
you-
that
like
are
I was-
like drawing under their desks and stuff. And living.
I was trying to watch them unearth wreckage of planes at Dunkirk, and then here we are. like, hey, anime, see how it's done. Like, thanks.
I also fired up the new Fear Effect game, Sedna.
Oh,
So that's a part of the Square Enix collective. Is that
right.
Okay.
You guys were talking about this the other day, and then I remembered like years ago, right? Like they launched that initiative.
Yeah.
Is that the thing
Seems
where
like
it's
it,
like
yeah.
it's not crowdfunding, but it's kind of similar of like we'll help
It's
you.
like you get to crowdfund your game using our IP,
Right.
and we will promote it,
Right.
but not put it. It's like I Am Setsuna was one of them, wasn't it?
I'm not sure about that. That's an internal studio,
Okay.
Tokyo
Oh.
RPG
Is that-
Factory. I'm pretty
Okay.
sure.
okay? Yeah, I
Uh,
forgot the name of the studio.
but this
that's,
is- yeah, this is
behind
all-
it,
that
but-
Battalion 1944 game that just came out,
Okay.
I believe, is part of this.
Like, it's
even,
almost-
even though it's not IP, like so it doesn't
Right.
have to be Square IP, but it's
Okay.
like it's a way for you to use some of the Square Enix IDOS
yeah,
portfolio.
can I make
it's
a
almost
Final
like a-
Fantasy game?
Yes,
Go ahead.
Sweet.
it's almost like an IP.
You should make a good one. It's been a while.
It's gonna be called Final. It's gonna be called the Final Fantasy,
Okay.
and you're gonna be Sid,
Okay.
and he becomes aware.
Okay. All right. Okay. Going
Yeah,
back to
this
that.
is-
Sure.
This is the Sid. This is the first Sid, and he becomes aware of all the other timelines, all the other Sids,
Mm-hmm.
and so he goes into each of the other Final Fantasy games, recruiting all of the Sid and Cindy's from those games.
What if you just wanted to kill them all?
Well, no. See, that's what he does. He gets them together,
Round
and
'em
then
up.
you go back into the games with a crew of Sids and take out the protagonists of each of the game until there is only one Final Fantasy left, and it's just full of Sids.
Just a gang of Sids.
So Square, if you're listening, contact me at whatever my email is. I don't want to give it out. Just figure it out. It's not that hard.
Great. That's. My wife started playing Final Fantasy X again.
Nice. The annual playthrough.
Yeah, it was time to the weather was getting a little nicer. Time to
Time to
Time
play
to kick
some
it off.
Settle
time to play
in
some
and-
but
blitzball.
still not nice enough to go outside much. So yeah.
That's true.
And then
I was getting ready to stream some stuff yesterday, and then out of the other room, I heard, "Let me tell you my story.
Oh boy.
I'm a complete shitbag. My old man's garbage man. He's a dumper for real. Here's Waka. He's gonna say yeah at the end of everything he says. My pant leg, one's long. Yeah. Let's do some math in the water." It's fucking the worst character.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, as someone who has not played most of the Final Fantasy games, worst character in the history of the franchise.
Oh,
Worst-
I don't know. I don't know.
Prove me
can't-
wrong. Prove me fucking wrong.
I can't think of many that are worse.
Mm,
I'm with you on
let's
that.
think about that for a while.
Yeah, they're all bad. All bad.
I mean, yeah, they're,
Talking Moogles are worse.
there's something endearing about
Protagonists,
a talking
though.
Moogle.
We're
okay.
talking here.
I think most
Or
people,
even like party members.
Yeah.
most people just hate the VO of that character.
Yeah.
I feel bad for that voice actor.
What about Titus?
That's what I'm saying.
That's who
yeah.
he's talking
No,
about.
that's what I'm talking about.
Wait, who's the? I'm thinking. Who's the other Blitzball guy?
Waka.
I was thinking of Waka.
Yeah, Waka also sucks.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh
So,
man,
what about Waka?
Waka just likes to have fun. He's
What were we
loving-
talking
He's
about?
loving life.
He's like the Mojo Raleigh, Jeff.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
Yeah.
He stays hyped about Blitzball.
Yeah,
never
no, that's-
stops.
Yes, yes, he is the Mojo Raleigh, absolutely. Waka's bad.
Anyway,
Waka also friends with Gronk.
great. And then the best part of all this is the Fear Effect is not even a Square IP. It's freaking IDOS, right?
I mean, that means it is a Square IP.
I know now it
because-
is,
yeah,
but like back in the day, it was.
Yeah, that was
it
an
was,
IDOS
it was
game.
extreme IDOS marketing campaigns.
Yeah. It's just
They were
like, look
pretty
at these,
extreme,
Look
yeah.
at these polygonal ladies in lingerie
half naked
they
ladies.
sure like kissing one another.
making out in these magazine ads.
from the makers of Tomb
That's-
Raider.
that's
a
all that I
game-
remember.
A game that you were already like, man, you guys really kind of leaning into this real skeevy Lara Croft stuff, huh? And they're like, well, check this shit out.
Yeah.
And you're like,
They're
okay.
gonna kiss. Yeah. And they don't let you down in this one for sure. Every line of dialogue is just like laced with innuendo between these two girls, and it's like, okay, I get it. You guys are into one another. That's cool. All right, but I got to figure out this puzzle here.
Is it like survival horror or something?
No,
what is that
so
game?
it used to be, yeah, kind of like that, like shades of like Resident Evil
Yeah.
and like the different camera angle, like fixed camera angles and stuff, and in like a cyberpunk kind of universe. That's all that I really remember. That and the smooching and stuff. This is the same setting. The gameplay is completely different. Though.
Okay.
So it's more like a real time strategy, kind of like a third quarter overhead view. And you can actually stop combat, and this is kind of one of the cool hooks of the combat is you can stop combat and like issue commands and like draw to where you're where you want your character to go, stand behind cover and whatnot.
Okay,
and
yeah,
then
this
do
looks
some shooty stuff.
this looks almost XCOM-ish.
So is
yeah,
it
like
more,
every screenshot of it, I was like, this is not a Fear Effect game.
Yeah,
What's going on? But
so
then,
it's
then I was like,
mostly
well, wait,
combat
what is a Fear
focused?
Effect game now anyway? What's it matter? Yeah.
It seems like a that and weird nonsensical puzzles as well. I want to say there were a bunch of puzzles in the first one. This certainly has it though. The first puzzle that you're presented with is you've got you're trying to hack a grid to disarm a bomb or something like that, and there's like 9 different cables that you can pull, but it gives you no indication as to what you should be pulling. So they give you a hint, say, hey, just look around in the environment for some clues. Come to find out that as you walk through the level, there's like posters on the wall that have like a color and then a number, and then you're supposed to somehow associate it. That it took me like a half hour to get through this because I was literally just doing like a trial and error because it was giving me no feedback other than just like game over. You die immediately. So yeah, there's the puzzles, completely nonsensical. They don't make any sense so far. The combat's not fun.
Is it spooky?
Nope, ain't no spookiness. Unless you are really spooked by bad voice acting.
No, I find it endearing.
Okay, all right, this might be the game for you.
Okay, great. Bad combat sounds right up my alley.
Yeah.
Dota fan Ben Pack weighs in.
I'm not sure if I'm going to play more of this or not. But yeah, they got ladies smooching.
That's
And
the
the
only.
puzzles.
That was the only memorable thing about the old Fear Effect games for me was that ad campaign. It's just like
Which is kind of a bummer because that means it worked. you know?
but it didn't. I mean, it didn't make me want to play those games.
No,
it was just
no,
this like
but
pandering, just like
well,
fuck
sure.
you. Like, what do you think
But-
I am? Like,
but what I mean
I'm
is, like,
so knuckle dragging. Like,
Right.
oh, dude, the girls are gonna kiss. I gotta play Fear Effect.
But I never would have even remembered what Fear Effect was if it hadn't been for that.
Yeah.
Like it just would have been lost to time.
Yeah, perhaps.
You guys want to talk about some news?
Yeah.
Let's talk about the headlines of the world. Some stuff happened, not much. Gonna scrape the barrel this week, but we'll see what we got here. The founders of Sledgehammer Games have left Sledgehammer Games.
Where'd they go?
Somewhere else in Activision.
The
we lose them?
mothership.
They're not.
Oh, they're still
not
with Activision.
yeah.
specifying.
Okay.
Executive positions within
Yeah,
Activision.
they both put it. It's Glenn Schofield and Michael
Michael
Condrey.
Okay.
Also the guys who made the first Dead Space for
Yeah.
kind of historical value.
Hell of a game.
Yes. Yeah, the statements they put out are like it's very vague. Like,
Most recently, what did they work?
they did Call of Duty World War II.
There
So
we
that's kind of where we're going with this. Is
And
like,
Advanced
what does
Warfare,
this mean?
and they helped out on Modern Warfare 3.
Gotcha.
I'm trying to find their like Schofield like kind of pays some lip service to like some amazing time at Sledgehammer Games. Now it's time to try other things. Activision has offered me the opportunity to focus my energy on something I'm very passionate about, exploring new game ideas for the company.
Yeah.
New types of loot boxes.
This had to happen. And
You think?
Well, Eric Hirschberg, leaving the company.
Right, that's right. I forgot he was
Like
taking
it
off.
is time for a shuffle at the top of
Yeah.
Activision.
Okay.
They're also not that either of these guys is necessarily going to take that spot 1-to-1.
Yeah.
But with him stepping out, they're probably taking a long look at the executive team at Activision and also like at where that company is with its popular franchises.
Yeah.
If you look at them as a company that like likes to make the same thing every year, couple of years, and only have a few very big games, the very big games they have are running their course.
Mm-hmm.
Call of Duty is very long in the tooth.
Yep.
They're I can't speak to this year's sales versus last year's sales, all other stuff, but it is that series is slipping away. It is not the landmark thing it used to be.
Yeah.
Destiny's
had its share of troubles.
Yeah, Destiny's had some troubles. Also, they don't own it
Yeah.
100%, so
Yeah.
it's not 100% theirs. And there was Guitar Hero Live that did not lead to a sequel. There's kind of what else? Tony Hawk is done.
Yeah.
And so Activision doesn't really have anything else. They need people, smart video game people,
Yeah.
in high-level positions at Activision who can say things like, yes, we think this is going to be the next Call of Duty. We think
Yes.
this is going to be the
We
next.
should make Titanfall 3 very good.
Yeah, well, that's not even them. That's EA.
You're
Yeah,
hired.
so that's
You're hired.
But yes, if they should make Titanfall 3.
We
That'd
should
be good.
steal Titanfall from EA and make it.
That's a good first step. Worked out well for Black Ops 3, the game that was a bad Titanfall clone.
Yeah.
And Advanced Warfare, Infinite Warfare also kind of trying to mine that similar stuff in a way that is significantly worse than Titanfall 2.
Yeah. I had completely forgotten about the Hirschberg thing.
Yeah.
Like when I first saw this, like the first thing I thought of was like, I wonder if this is in some way a commentary on how they feel World War II did and was received.
No, this is, if anything, it is the, hey, you guys have really good heads on your shoulders. You made World War II, and that got us kind of back on track from the horrible derailing we had with Infinite Warfare.
You think that's how that game is seen at this point?
I bet.
Like
I bet
sales wise and that
yeah,
sort of
I
thing?
mean, they were trying to tout sales for that game in a way that they definitely did not for Infinite Warfare.
Okay.
So I'm not going to say that like, Call of Duty's back or anything like that. They might.
Sounds
but-
like it got some kind of lift out of World War II.
So if anything, they've proven themselves to be fixers. They helped make sure that Modern Warfare 3 happened at a very tumultuous time.
Yep.
They did Advanced Warfare, which for my money is the best game that franchise has seen since Black Ops 2.
Yeah.
And World War II, has its kind of sales success story. So, and also they've got their legacy at Visceral Games, with the Dead Space franchise, stuff like that. Like these are two guys that have been around the block, ascending.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember when they left. I think they were gone kind of more or less after the first Dead Space. I don't think they were super involved with 2.
That sounds right, but I don't know. I don't
Also
know
a
the timing.
fantastic game. But yeah, that's a pretty good pedigree.
Yeah. So Activision is in need of that type of leadership from people who know games.
Yeah.
And because they're at a time at their company right now where they need to be working on new IP. They need to be working on getting new things out there that can kind of fill those gaps. Or that can be the next Call of Duty. That can kind of diversify that portfolio with new shit.
Right.
And it's a time, when they have leadership change with Hirschberg stepping away. Yeah, so I just look at this as all tied to that, and they're just going to go like, okay, it's time for us to make some changes and start to really invest in something new, which I'm sure they have been doing. They're not just like fucking sitting around like cashing Call of Duty checks and working on nothing else.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they have nothing on the books announced.
I'm trying to.
I don't even know, like unannounced, like what they would even be thinking about doing at this point.
Trying to think like what Activision's output is at this point.
Right.
Like
it's Call of Duty They publish Destiny.
Basically, Destiny and Call of Duty last
They
year,
are
right?
part of Blizzard. They are King Games.
Well, there's the mobile stuff.
There's the mobile
obviously.
stuff.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
like there's that stuff. Like Activision is a very large maker of video games.
right. But the types of games we tend to talk about, like it's really those two, right?
Right.
As of right now, I can't think of much
I mean,
else.
Skylanders is pretty much done.
Right.
Right. I
Yeah.
mean, but Toys for Bob still exists. Right. It's not like they shut that studio down.
Right.
So maybe you see one more attempt at Skylanders. I don't know. I don't think so, but because Lego got out the game, right?
Mhm.
They canceled all their Dimension stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Disney's gone.
Disney obviously gone. Amiibo, I don't know that. I mean, it's kind of a different thing, but
Toys to Life is drying up real quick.
Yeah.
telling you, man, you got that Toy Fair exclusive Cinder. You want in on that?
I kind of want in. On that.
$700.
Shit. I picked
It's
up
gone up since last time.
That's
I picked up some more superchargers. You know the car ones.
Mhm.
Those are really good.
Is this stuff just like clearance prices at this point?
Yep. Yeah, there's a Toys R Us going out of business.
Oh, yeah.
near
Right.
our place too. So it's like
Oh,
I
so
got them all for
double,
like $2. Somebody tweeted me a picture. It's like all Skylanders 50 cents.
Jeez.
It's a little weird when you think about like how much joy a Toys R Us going out of business is going to provide to the like immediate people around. Like so many more kids are going to get
Right.
toys that they wouldn't otherwise. Like it's a store closing, a lot of people losing their
yeah,
jobs.
Just picking the carcass.
But like,
I remember going into Comp USA's when they were all shutting down.
Oh,
yeah,
and
totally.
they're literally like selling the shelves and shit.
Yep.
And just going in there and like looking at hard drives and going, I don't need a hard drive. I'm buying like a Tapwave Zodiac copy of Tony Hawk for $1 that shouldn't have even been in. It was years after. Anyway, just weird shit like that. And then just like everyone working there being like, yeah, you know, like I got 3 more weeks on this and then something else. Like I went to the Radio Shack in my town like a couple weeks before it was closing. I was like, I guess I'm going to buy some HDMI cables because they're finally a reasonable price here.
Oh yeah.
And I happen to need one right now. And yeah, they were just like, you know, I don't know. They said like, hey, you want to transfer to another thing? I'm like, no, I'm not moving. So whatever. I got another job lined up. I don't really care. I was like, cool.
Yeah, it's
all right.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
retail, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah, they can transfer anywhere. Yeah, oddly enough, like not everything's like on sale. Like all
Right.
the like Lego stuff not marked down at all.
Oh yeah. Anything
That's
that like
weird.
they think they can get more for, or if in some cases if it's stuff that they can return to the manufacturer,
Yeah,
probably.
probably.
I bet there are some cases where like, hey, we haven't paid for this and we can actually return it and, you know, pay down our debts that way. Maybe that works out better.
Yeah.
Or they
not-
transfer it to another store. Like that stuff that still might sell. But Skylanders, ain't nobody buying Skylanders.
Yeah, they're not all closing, right?
No,
It's just like a bunch of them.
Yeah, just a bunch.
Not yet.
I think they announced a couple days ago that there might be a lot more closing.
Yeah.
That sucks.
That's a bummer.
I can't picture a world without a, you know, like a dedicated toy store.
Yeah.
That's weird to me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna miss them.
Yeah.
yeah.
I was in one around Christmas time,
Mm-hmm.
shopping around for stuff.
Do they still do the game flaps?
Yeah.
They still do it
Yeah.
that way?
Yeah, with some of them. Well, I just suppose it depends on the store, but they
And
do it
more
with
more stuff.
drones too. They got flaps for the drones.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I bought a drone.
Did you buy a drone?
I bought a drone.
Sick.
It was
What are you
an
doing?
Amazon markdown error, and I got a like
Yeah.
$75 drone for $12.
Wait, you can get $75 drones now?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
What the-
all different price
What
ranges.
size drone are we
It's like a
talking?
little bit smaller than my hand,
Oh, okay.
like
that's
the
pretty
palm of
small.
my hand.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those little guys with like a little remote, but I got it.
Dude,
I
bring that in.
haven't used it yet because I need batteries, but
Oh,
I have
shit.
it.
What are you gonna do with it?
Fly it.
Yeah.
You want to go flying?
Can you like
Yeah, hell yeah.
go
you, like,
flying?
Let's go to the beach or something.
Yeah.
can you,
fly
like,
drones
stick
around.
your iPhone on it or something? Like
Probably
shoot
not.
video?
I would assume it has a camera on it because
all the
does it or
all the super shitty ones now have like little 720
Yeah.
cameras at least.
It might.
Huh.
yeah.
I was driving once and a drone fell on top of my car.
Oh,
Just
Wow.
died.
Just died. Fell out of the sky.
that's why you need to do your windshield wipers.
Yeah. I took it out and it was still kind of beeping. I just placed it back on the ground,
Mm-hmm.
drove back around the corner. It's gone.
It just took off.
I think it may have just taken back
maybe
off.
it's still following you.
Should have run over it.
You should put a tracking beacon on it.
You're right. So I'm tracking the
Yeah,
person
you should have taken one of those tracking beacons you have handy and put one of those on
on
it.
my spare tiles that I keep on my
Yeah.
key ring.
Yeah, exactly.
It's reaching the Jan belt.
I just Googled Amazon drone and ended up on the Prime Air page. Remember that?
Oh, right.
It's
Yeah.
a
Oh yeah.
drone delivery service.
Yeah, we'll get there. That'll be good.
Yeah.
That'll be real good.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, Activision did not get to this point by being completely dumb. So yes, they're going to put people into positions to try to make new things happen.
Yeah.
And it's about time.
That'll
Like,
probably
I think
be-
it's past due for them to.
Are they splitting them up?
They didn't really.
Can't sit by one another anymore?
They didn't give them titles in these statements.
Yeah, it's not really-
so I'm
They
not
just
sure
put
exactly.
one person in between them, so
Yeah.
they have to.
A little buffer.
I
there.
bet there's still more announcements to be made around like what the executive team there.
Yeah,
or
they're
what,
actually-
the,
yeah.
what's high level Activision going to look like once Hirschberg is like all the
Yes.
way out? Because I think he's still technically there, right?
Yeah, I think for a little bit longer. I didn't until his departure was announced. I didn't realize he was considered like a creative guy. I always just thought of him as the biz dude below Kotick.
You'd hear stories,
But yeah, like it sounds like he was more of a creative direction type dude.
But I think I don't know that was necessarily his job. But
Well,
I
but
think
that sounds like
he
the role
was
he
to run the
played.
business. But yeah,
Yeah.
it sounded like he
'Cause
definitely like
'cause
was.
they
I heard him painted as a finger on the pulse kind
Yeah,
of dude.
Yes.
Uh,
Anyway,
to
yeah.
some extent, anyway.
If you tell me the dudes who made the first Dead Space are going to be charting course for Activision, like that sounds like a good thing
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah, we'll see.
I'll take that as a positive. This just got announced a couple hours ago. The ESRB is going to start labeling games with in-game purchases,
Okay.
like a full-on separate label, like outside of not in the lettered rating box.
Yeah.
They compared it to the online interactions not rated by the ESRB label.
So it'll
Which
be
is a
a
separate-
meaningless
gotcha.
boilerplate
Yeah, so it'll be
thing that'll
something you
just
skip
exist
right
on every
over.
single game.
I mean in the sense that it is distinct from the rating.
Right.
Like,
Sure.
it's
Yeah.
not just because the rating has like it'll say like cartoon violence,
Yeah.
Drug
gore,
use.
whatever. Like it's not within that. It'll be a
Right.
totally separate
Just different sticker.
like parental advisory sticker, basically.
And this comes after, was it last week or 2 weeks ago
Yeah.
that there was a call to them?
Yeah. Senator Maggie, I think that's her name. I'm trying to find Maggie.
Get your shit
Hassan.
in check before the government.
Yeah,
does.
she had sent them from New Hampshire. She had
Right.
sent them a letter saying some stuff. They actually responded directly to her with the announcement of this thing,
It's
basically
yeah.
saying, "Hey, get off our backs. We're doing this."
Well, it sounds like they're saying like we disagree, but we're
Yeah.
doing this, but we disagree.
Yes.
We're going to do the absolute bare minimum so
Yes.
you do
Yeah.
not
That's
shut us down.
pretty
Probably.
much all of those things.
That's how everything gets done.
Yeah, well, I
between
mean-
corporations and the government. The bare motherfucking minimum.
What's the wording and classification? Like, can this like encompass a lot of stuff?
I think
or
it's
oddly
I-
specific.
I think it's one specific label. I don't think
Okay.
it. In fact, they spend a ton of lip service in this on the topic of not calling out loot boxes in particular by saying they didn't want to confuse parents with too much information.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's basically
Classic.
the upshot of their.
I know when my
reasoning.
mom was trying to buy me video games as a kid, she would pick up the box and just start crying because there were so many, like, 2 players, 2 to 4 players.
What does it even
Online only? What?
This
ESRB.
is great. This is like the most meaningless.
Yeah.
Like
it
has
feels like
micro.
nothing.
That's like when you look at. I mean, the App Store that Apple runs. When you go to the Xbox store, you see that sort of stuff. It says like offers in-app purchases. That's all this is going to be. Is just
Yeah,
the boxes
yeah,
will now
it's
say
that.
offers in-game purchases.
The president of the ESRB said, "We've learned that a large majority of parents don't know what a loot box is, and even those who claim they do don't really understand what a loot box is. So it's very important for us to not harp on loot boxes per se, but to make sure we're capturing loot boxes, but also other in-game transactions."
Yes, the far more dangerous things that everyone's worried about that's not loot boxes.
Parents
It's important to take those out.
Parents need simple information. We can't overwhelm them with a lot of detail. We need to be clear, concise, and make it easy for
That's
them.
True.
We have not found that parents are differentiating between a lot of these different mechanics. They just know there might be something in the game they can spend money on.
Right. Which is they're just mirroring what happens on a lot of online stores now.
Yeah.
With this stuff.
Yeah.
So that'll just say on every single game offers in-game purchases.
Yeah.
And that'll probably be that. I bet that language is probably not too far off.
Yeah.
But
This got announced on a conference call, and one of the reporters asked specifically about the attention they drew from the Senate, and the president said, "We do believe what we're announcing today is responsive to her concerns." So,
Yeah.
If I was a publisher, man, I'd get out in front of this. I'd have the sickest fucking loot box label. Like
Yeah.
only the coolest loot.
Make it like a hologram of the box
Yeah.
opening.
yeah.
Rating
foil
coming
and
out of
shit.
it.
Preview the box opening animation on the back of the box.
Ooh.
Totally.
It's, I mean, Or you go the other way with it. I was going to say, like, it's likely that this will just end up on the vast majority of games that are sold because everything
Probably,
offers something, a skin. That there's, I feel like there's very few games out there that are going to retail that do not also have at least one additional thing you could buy, whether it's a season pass or just like traditional DLC,
trying to
a loot
think
box, like all this sort of stuff.
You're talking about like at retail,
Yeah.
like games that
Yes.
would be in a box.
Right.
I'm trying to think of the last box game that didn't
So
have some kind of microtransaction. that
while
I
this
played.
might potentially get the government off their backs, like this is casting a really, really wide net. It's not doing much to address like the actual problem. Of,
Right.
It's a really wide net with really wide gaps in
Yeah.
between.
It's letter of the law, not spirit, or something. It's just kind of like getting the stuff done. Which, I mean, boxes should say this, but you start to wonder if this was actually a problem. If they put these labels on there and actually it impacted sales, it would just lead to developers not shipping their game with any kind of microtransactions and announcing them the week after release. Because games change and the boxes don't. Like
you're
what
probably right.
maybe your second printing has them or something. Like if there's nothing. This is the most
And what if a
nothing
game
thing
like
that they can
gets
do.
rid of? I mean, EA changed their microtransaction thing for Battlefront, right? Like 3 or 4 times after release.
Right.
Like, do they have to update that sticker, or is it like a thing catch all? Is it going to get into the specifics of the microtransactions?
No,
I
you're in
don't
luck.
know.
It's never going to get.
You're in luck because they've also launched parentaltools.org, where they've got a snazzy trailer.
Oh, parents are gonna watch that.
World champions, defeat mythical beasts, and sail the high seas. To make sure games are appropriate,
How much did
parents
Sea
can
of
check
Thieves pay
Esrb
to get in there?
This is
content descriptors and interactive elements.
Interactive elements.
Including a new notice, in-game purchases that lets parents know when real money can be spent in the game. Plus, there are tools that limit spending, playtime, and block games.
this is very jaunty.
Yeah.
Best advice
Games
for
are fun.
parents. Play games
It's fun restricting kids from content.
Yeah, that site seems like mostly geared towards like here's how to work parental controls on a PlayStation
it's
or
got
on an
like
Xbox.
platform by platform.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got instructions on how to.
It'll
Stop.
never come close to
That's
that
cool.
Nintendo one with Bowser and.
Yeah.
That's true.
Uh,
I wish more parents were involved in this stuff and they educated
Yeah,
themselves.
that's
They
true.
should.
they must be spooked. I mean, they wouldn't have whipped this out this fast if they weren't sweating the attention that they seem to be drawing.
Yeah.
You got to think somebody who knows a thing or two about government came to them and said, "Hey, this is real."
Yeah.
Just like handle this before it gets handled for you
Yeah.
in a way worse way. So I mean, this probably goes most of the way to addressing what the government has been saying, but like
And yet
doesn't
does nothing
actually
at the same
change
time.
anything
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
At all.
Sweet.
Also, like we said a week or two ago, some of that state legislation that's being proposed is like way crazier than this, like just straight up banning. Like
Right.
that would ban sales of any game with these markers on them to people under like 18 or
Oh
whatever.
yeah,
That
or like
stuff is-
taxing M-rated games. Or,
Yeah, that's
That's
we'll get to that.
That's a separate dumb fucking
we
thing.
will definitely get to that later. Like I said, slow news week. This was on the bubble.
There's a Super
But-
Skullomania coming.
Oh, okay, that's
Wait,
big news.
Super Skullomania.
What?
Just
It's like-
Skullomania?
like
It's-
Shin Skullomania?
No, he's like huge and buff, and I forgot his name.
Oh, I
It's
saw
like
that guy.
Skullogeist.
Are
Or,
you talking about fighting EX?
Yeah.
later? Okay.
Yeah,
like
Is
a
that
like a
big?
like a buddy for Skullomania that's like a giant
like an end boss fucking level.
Holy shit.
Skullomania.
Like,
He's
you
huge.
know
Same
those-
outfit and scarf.
Evil Skullomania, violent Skullomania.
You know those like ads for mobile games where it's like level 1 and it's like a little
Yeah.
that'd be Skullomania, and then like level 32 would be this guy.
Fuck that. That's scary.
Cracker Jack's back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So there's my news.
I am very
All right.
excited about that game.
That's pretty newsy.
Yeah.
This, like I said, this was just, I'm a little on the fence on this one, but Jeff, you seemed like you could say something about this.
Yeah.
Basically, a long-lost version of a Donkey Kong game has finally made its way to the internet.
Oh,
It's a-
right. Yeah.
It is the Sharp X1 version of Donkey Kong 3, subtitled The Great Counterattack.
Oh, that's the
Yeah.
best one.
Or
Yeah, Donkey Kong 3 Daigyakushu
Yeah.
is the Japanese name.
Going
But,
to space.
but I guess it's been locked up on floppy disks that are compatible with the Sharp X1 for the last 34 years.
Yeah.
Now,
And people finally got a hold of the discs
Yeah, so people won an auction. Someone put together some donations.
Yeah.
Won it on auction for like $400 or
Was
something
it
like
was
that.
it just like so rare that there weren't other copies out there? Like, that's kind of what
there are a ton of games
Yeah, I
out
wonder.
there that like you think of as like, oh well, I mean it's not even more common games where like the original discs haven't been preserved. We were talking about some of that Apple II stuff that that archive.org was out there talking about. Hey, send us your Apple discs. We want to preserve them.
Yeah. I guess just to me, like when you say Apple II or you say Donkey Kong, those are like platforms and franchises that are so ubiquitous that like, I'm like there must be millions of or at least hundreds of thousands of copies of this out
the
there.
Sharp X1 was only released in Japan.
Yeah.
The preservation efforts in Japan are happening, but not always in the same way. And also sometimes that's happening within a community that is a little more insular and it's not getting out to the wider, the emulation community of people that are collecting this stuff and cataloging this stuff. So you have a lot of dumps that may not be making their way overseas, even if they are preserving the discs. So in this situation, someone put together an effort to win an auction for this game because the game had not been released onto the internet. It had not been preserved, all that other stuff.
Yeah.
And did so. Paid a handful of money.
Yeah, $415 for a copy of this thing. So
and
it's
then,
not the cheapest.
which was, I guess, the auction was hindered by the effort to raise money because it called attention to the rarity of the game, which then made the auction harder to win.
Oh, gotcha.
But they won the auction, and then had to cobble together a way to dump a Sharp X1 disc, getting floppy drives together and all this other stuff. So that's been released on the internet. You can get it and you can play it in MAME if you want to. So it's a version of Donkey Kong 3. It was also released on other Japanese computers, and those versions of the game had been out there. But
what is so different about this one?
it is so there were a handful of other
Like I know Donkey Kong 3, right?
Right.
And
Yeah,
the
this
Bugs
write-up-
Bunny stuff.
this
but
is
then-
this write-up
more
almost
like
positions it-
Galaga.
Positions
Okay.
it almost as like a sequel to Donkey Kong 3 or like a
Man.
follow-up.
So there were a handful of
or
games
is it like a limitate. Maybe they were limited in how
Yes.
they were able to.
Yes, the capabilities of these
yes.
Japanese
Okay.
computers were such that they made changes. So this is how you got games like Super Mario Brothers Special,
Okay.
which was not made by Nintendo, whereas this Donkey Kong 3 was made by Hudson.
Yeah.
And there's stuff like Mario Brother, like Punch Ball Mario Brothers, like it's a variant of original Mario Brothers
really?
that they just made for these computers, and they're kind of like they're different games in a sense that use some of the same. They're like Metal Gear Survive in a way, taking assets from this existing game and changing things about the gameplay. And so this is a game in which you play as Stanley, the protagonist from regular real Donkey Kong 3, and Donkey Kong is up there at the top of the screen like he is in Donkey Kong 3, but instead of like having to shoot him off the screen necessarily, he's kind of falling on balloons, and then there are challenging bonus stages, challenging stage like Galaga where it looks a lot like Galaga. Because there are bugs and other stuff that you have to take care of. So it's like a variant of Donkey Kong 3, I guess I would say.
Okay.
But it's got weird, crazy, just weird backgrounds and stuff that cycle from level to level. And it's cool that that's out there for people to check out.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff like Super Mario Brothers Special, it's special, all right. It's a version of Super Mario Brothers that I believe in every version of the game. There may be one that has real scrolling, but it is screen by screen by screen. Like you walk off the edge of one screen and it moves you to the next one.
Gotcha.
But it's still kind of Super Mario Brothers. Like the levels are different, and obviously the physics and just the feel of the character are fucking terrible.
I'm sure.
Old computers, man.
Old computers, they're wild.
Speaking of old computers, I ended up randomly for the weekend on a web-based emulator for the Soviet DVK2,
What?
running a copy of the original version of Tetris,
Wow.
which is made out of like ASCII.
Yeah.
Like it's literally
Yeah.
just text
ASCII
mode.
Tetris, yeah.
It's not even graphics. There's no sound effects. Although this emulator had like a really oppressive like hum of mainframe sounding sounds in the
yeah.
background with really nice clacky keyboard sounds.
Yeah.
It was really weird to think about a Soviet computer running.
OG Tetris.
Yeah, who's dumping that stuff? Like, we should
Yeah, no, that stuff is-
forget
yeah.
Japanese computers.
Right, yeah, that stuff
Let's
is
go
out
find
there.
let's go find some
There are
communist computers.
there are plenty of like Russian computers that are supported in MAME, and even some of them are platforms that like the MSX, I guess, was very popular there. So you'll see a lot of Russian MSX models and stuff like that being emulated separately from some of their Japanese and other European counterparts and stuff.
Speaking of old games running on new stuff, This was just an image. It was not video, so there's, I guess, this could be faked, but why would they bother? Because it seems like enough of the work has been done already. But somebody put out an image over the weekend or recently of Doom 3 running on a Switch,
Okay.
which they have ported to the Switch.
Yeah.
Oh, like a
Home-
they're running like a different OS on
homebrew.
there.
This is-
or-
this is-
Yes, people. It sounds like people are getting Linux to boot on a
That's
Switch.
that's where this is
Gotcha.
going. This is basically just sort of a check-in on the progress of homebrew on the Switch.
Okay.
Because all the old Doom games, like their source got opened.
Yeah.
Like they're
Yeah.
So
Oh, wait,
people
even
people have
Doom 3
ported.
did?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't know
think
that.
I think Doom 3 was maybe the last id game that they did that with before like Bethesda lawyers started saying no.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But so yeah, there are reports of Doom 3 to fucking everything at this point. But yeah, these whoever this shadowy cabal is has gotten a version of Linux up and running on the Switch.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a handful of different security researchers and yeah, like different people with different methods and stuff like that. I don't know the status of like what firmware you need. It's like all this other stuff.
So that's the thing; they're not disclosing any of that, right?
I think for
Like they're basically
certain-
saying, hey, we can do this, but they're not telling anybody what all the kind of pathways are to doing it.
for the most part. Like, there is some stuff that's out there, but not all of it. Not all this stuff. Like definitely people are kind of showing off proofs of concept for like, hey, here's some stuff we've made happen on the PS4. Here's some stuff we made happen on the Switch, and that sort of stuff. Yeah.
I'm just happy I finally have Linux on the go.
Yeah. Right.
I can use it on the couch.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Do some bash scripting with the
Yeah.
motion controls. That's yep.
Yep.
You
You thought golf was crazy.
that's right. I don't know where this is going to go. I mean,
It goes to piracy.
well,
Like,
that's
that's where this goes.
That's
Like-
yeah, that's
like,
the thing. That's
honestly-
the thing I didn't want to say because
Yeah,
that's
but
the
that's-
bummer part for Nintendo.
Yeah,
is that like
that's the
if this-
end road for that. I mean,
if
the
this
end road
thing-
is like people are security researchers, so they're fascinated by
yeah.
how these systems are kept secure, and they
There's-
like to tinker with it and all
There's
that sort of
there's
stuff.
that there's
but-
that aspect of it that fascinates me on an academic level, and
Yeah.
then there's the other part of it which like is part and parcel with the piracy, and therefore I don't feel great talking about it. But if you set the piracy stuff aside
yeah,
and envision like the idea of a Switch that could just run like
whatever.
any number of thousands of games that thing is fast enough to run,
Right.
like homebrew stuff.
Mhm.
Like they had put out footage of original like 93 Doom running on a Switch a few months ago,
Crazy.
and now they're up to Doom 3. But like I think about
Yeah.
like that thing is not, it's way faster than like a 360.
Like they were
Like
talking about trying to port RetroArch to the Switch.
Right, I was like the number of
a
like
multi-system emulator.
the number of
like,
emulators
yeah.
that thing would be capable of running, and like other
like that stuff happened on the Vita. That
Right.
stuff happened on the
right.
PSP.
That's
stuff
kind of
happened on the
exactly
3DS.
that's kind of what I
It's,
mean is if you've envisioned this as the next version of the Vita in terms of it running homebrew stuff, like that is fascinating.
Yeah, I guess.
But,
yeah,
but then
it's-
there's the part where people will also probably be able to pirate
Definitely.
Switch games in the process of that, and then you start feeling kind of grody talking about it.
It's I mean, it's how this stuff goes.
Yeah.
And it's I think the people that are kind of doing the initial tinkering, like they don't really like piracy ends up being a weird byproduct of
Right.
the thing they're actually doing, which
Right.
they're just like, well, I just want to open this thing up and fuck with it,
Mm.
which is I think that's cool. But yeah, when you start getting into some of the stuff at the end, the end result for a lot of users and stuff, you're like, this is a bummer.
Specifically because of the TV out it's got and the controls, like it's not like there aren't other like
Oh, that's-
Android.
it's
There are
the
other
thing.
Android
There-
tablets
yeah, I
of
was gonna
similar
say,
speed
like,
out there.
That's the thing is like if you're just looking for a device to emulate shit on, like there
Right.
are a billion. There are.
But it's where you've got built-in wireless controls and like easy
Yeah.
TV output and stuff like that.
Mhm.
It becomes a very appealing thing in that
Yeah,
context.
that's like people are installing shit on Steam links
yeah,
for
that's
that.
true.
It's not portable, I guess, but
That thing's pretty slow. It's not.
it does okay
super
with
great.
some stuff
Yeah.
at that point, I guess. But
Yeah.
then at that point you're like, okay, well, if you get a Shield TV,
Yeah.
that thing is plenty fucking fast.
Yeah, there are other ways to do this stuff already.
Yeah.
But the Switch is a nice piece of hardware.
Yeah, it's kind of like I am not necessarily interested in doing that stuff as much. Like I don't even like remember when jailbreaking your iPhone seemed like a cool idea.
Yeah.
Now that seems like the worst fucking like let's open this up to any number of potential weird shit. But also.
Yeah.
I used to jailbreak it because Apple wouldn't let you set like a custom text message tone. That was all I wanted.
Yeah.
Some of the other stuff you could do along the way was cool. And like, oh, this is fun. Look at this. I changed the look of this. Oh, look at it. I did this. But then there was also the aspect of like, oh, now you can pirate apps and steal, like all this other stuff. But they've made enough changes to where I personally don't feel the need to jailbreak an iPhone
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah, I feel like I haven't heard people talking about jailbreaking
it's
phones.
still,
in a
people
while.
still do it.
Yeah, but like I feel like it was like, oh, you don't have a jailbroken phone,
Right?
Like, what are you doing?
What are you doing? All this, you're making this dumb little noise every time a text message comes in. All this official Apple bullshit. Yeah. But then, whatever, they realized, oh, wait, if we just give people the features they want, the vast majority of people jailbreaking will probably stop.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of old games on new hardware, Chrono Trigger got released on Steam today, I think. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
That thing sounds bad.
Yeah, it's a port of the mobile version, not of
Okay,
the
yeah, here it
DS,
is.
not of the Super Nintendo.
$15.
Yeah, $15.
Making
for
me
this
click
guy.
through an age gate to see Chrono Trigger on Steam.
But I mean, it's
because it
it's
has loot boxes.
Oh, of course.
really good job of a direct port of the mobile. Like the touch controls are still
Oh, nice.
implemented.
Like
Yeah,
just
you
called
can just
treasure
mouse
chests.
over stuff, and yeah. Oh, all those really shitty sprites that they put on the mobile version, the
Yeah.
smoothed out sprites.
Oh, yeah,
those are intact.
This looks kind of bad. Huh. Yeah, I've heard weird stuff about a lot of those phone ports of the Square 16-bit stuff.
No 4x3 support.
What?
Stretched.
Wow.
Stretched, not like native widescreen. Stretched.
I
Yeah,
believe
it was,
so.
Yeah, it was definitely not.
Well, I know, but I mean, like, if they're doing a mobile port, that's usually a 16:9 screen at that
Yep.
point.
Oh, sure.
So I would assume they would be fine there.
Yeah, this game came out today. User reviews mostly negative.
Weird.
Gross.
Yeah.
Gross. Don't let it happen like this.
Yeah. You guys good to read some emails? You need another break?
I would love to.
Let's read some emails. Bombcast at giantbomb.com. Greg from the Bronx writes in. Hey, all, long time, first time, and all that. I had to write in when you mentioned that no sex was ever had in a GameStop to tell you that you were wrong.
I got a lot of
sure
tweets
that's
about this
happened,
when I
yeah.
said that.
I worked for, was that you?
Yes.
Okay. I worked for GameStop for 6 years, and during that time, I've witnessed some things. An assistant manager being arrested for child porn, for instance, but that's not this story. And also heard some great stories. One good one was about a former manager in my old district that was cheating on his wife with his assistant in the system room.
Not a great story.
They had been doing it for a while until our district manager decided to check the cameras for some reason and saw the entire scene recorded for his viewing pleasure. That sort of thing is apparently frowned
And
upon.
repeat viewing pleasure.
Yeah, right. That sort of thing is apparently frowned upon as they were swiftly fired.
Oh, weird.
I was also told the manager eventually left his wife for the assistant, and I'm assuming they've lived happily ever after.
Wait, I just want to get this out of the way now, just for the record. Am I allowed to have sex in the CBSI offices?
I'm going to say probably not.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah. I'm going to say probably not.
All right, yeah, I'm going to lean towards no.
Check
then.
with your HRBP on that one.
I will. I'm going to send an email.
Yeah.
So you can't do it anymore.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, it's for the future.
Maybe we should get rid of that couch.
Oh God.
You got to get rid of a couple things.
At the end, he says, maybe I'll have cause to send some other seedy GameStop stories in the future. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sure.
Any more bangers like the child porn?
Not that one.
Come on.
Talk about
good.
bangers.
Probably good on that one.
Jeez.
CD bangers.
All good.
Mm-hmm.
Don't send us shit like that.
Billy and Bama, which I assume to be Alabama.
Roll Tide.
What?
Roll Tide.
Sends
Like a
an
sea
email.
creature thing?
I still don't know.
All right.
This email is titled "That Old Chestnut." Not to get political, but with the president recently playing the old violent video games and movies card in wake of recent events, I was curious if you guys think we might get another Jack Thompson-esque loon on a crusade soon, especially as VR becomes more prevalent. I mean, they tried to say Halo trained the DC sniper. I can just see the stories of how the Rift is training modern killers. In the process of writing this email, I saw a story about a violent video game tax, and he links to the story. And then, sure enough, Rhode Island Representative Robert Nardolillo has announced plans to introduce legislation that will add a 10% tax to all M-rated or higher video games sold in the state.
Or higher.
Yeah, right. Yeah, sure.
All those hot AO joints.
Yeah.
That's your Walmarts.
Under his proposal, revenues raised by the taxes would go into a special fund for school districts to support counseling, mental health programs, and other conflict resolution activities.
I'm certainly not against that, but this is something that you
Yeah, how about you just
tax.
put a bill on for that thing at the end there? That sounds good.
Yeah.
Maybe raise regular taxes if you have to raise the money for that. If
Maybe.
you're, too busy.
Or reduce some other areas of spending.
Maybe maybe redistribute.
Either
some
way,
of the spending.
that's kind of like admitting that like this is an issue and that video games are somehow responsible and should be, have a tax put on that. That's not at all the case.
Maybe the ESRB should hire more lobbyists, is what I'm getting from this.
I feel like I feel like this stuff has kind of been beat to death and studied quite a bit.
Yeah.
Still,
And without
And new
finding
studies coming out all the time.
without finding
Really
that
shouldn't.
violent video games are actually causing any actual issues.
Yeah.
they don't. They don't.
I think the
they
one
don't work
thing-
on facts. They don't work on. Yeah.
The one thing we can be in agreement about is I think it's about time we get some ratings and warnings on violent movies. I think that's really important that we start.
There
getting
should be a
those.
system.
There should be a system.
Yeah, they should do
where
something.
it tells people if the movies are bad, scary.
I want to pay
Yeah.
more for my R-rated movies. That seems fair, right?
I am not expecting any new Jack Thompsons. On
No.
the scene
Jack
anytime
Thompson
soon.
actually kind of resurfaced relatively
yeah?
recently.
I mean, he got disbarred, right?
yes,
Like,
but
what?
he was like,
Also, the thing
he
is,
still has a Twitter account. I think.
Well,
Jack
sure.
Thompson would be fairly fucking vanilla by today's standards.
Sure.
Yeah. Yes.
Also, yeah, this is not going anywhere because just like everything else, this will vanish down the memory hole in the matter of days. It's always on to something else.
Yeah, but this particular like timing and all that for this as like and this as a distraction tactic
it's
from
just-
the
it's just-
actual fucking issues
it's just
facing us
deflection.
these days is extra fucking disgusting.
Yep.
Like the scapegoating of other forms of media when the problem is pretty fucking plainly staring people in the face these days is just increasingly embarrassing. But hey, that type of deflection has gotten us this far as a society, right?
Yeah,
Hey.
seems to be working. Let's see. This email is from David, who provides a developer opinion on Epic's Battle Royale success. I'm a developer at a small studio that uses Unreal Engine, and we see Epic's success with Fortnite Battle Royale as a very positive thing. It has led to improvements in the engine, and it's always useful for licensees to have Epic create and ship games to prove out their engine. It's kind of ironic, but you'll probably see PUBG integrate Fortnite Battle Royale engine and network improvements in the near future.
That makes sense.
From my point of view, a rising tide lifts all boats.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Send them
Because
crashing down.
Because it's not like the things that PUBG Corp develops for PUBG make its way upstream to the core of the Unreal Engine, whereas Epic doing the work, I guess, actually probably does make its way out there. That was always the thing. I think we probably last talked about it when there was the Silicon Knights lawsuit with Epic. There was that idea that Epic didn't necessarily consider their engines to be like finished, or generally speaking, maybe it wasn't Epic, but it's just kind of, you don't really consider an iteration of the Unreal Engine to be ready until Epic has shipped a game on it.
Right.
And UE4 was the first time where like that seemed to take some time because there was a while that they kind of just weren't putting
That's
stuff
right.
out.
Yeah, there were other studios putting out
Yeah.
UE4 games way before Epic did.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Mail me.
Davis writes in.
Yo.
Would you rather go a week without electricity or a week without running water? For the week without electricity, you wouldn't be allowed to use any device that requires a constant flow of electricity from a wall outlet. Gas-powered generators would be prohibited, but you would be allowed to use devices operated by battery. For the week without water, you wouldn't be allowed water from any traditional plumbing sources such as a sink, hose, or bathtub, and you would only be allowed water directly from natural sources such as lakes or streams or bottled water.
Wait, and bottled water? That's not a natural source, right?
Well,
I don't know.
a non-running water source.
So I can order a bunch
Non-
of water from Amazon.
So like, would you rather live in some weird bunker in the middle of nowhere or live in Flint? Like, is that the thing? Like, what are we really looking at here?
Something like that.
Yeah, I choose water. I mean, I choose to not have water.
Yeah.
I choose electricity.
Really?
Yeah.
No. I need a break from
Yeah,
the
you're
electricity.
no, that's nuts. That's crazy.
How's that? What are you gonna do?
Let me
If
tell
you're-
you,
if
having-
if you are allowed to have bottled water, then that's not a.
Let me take it from somebody who grew up in a place prone to ice storms, and also who had a well, so that when the power went out, the water didn't go.
It's a week.
Dude, you can't flush the toilet.
That's true.
You cannot flush the toilet
Yeah, I
I
think
can
about
dig
that.
a hole.
for as long as the water is not running.
I got
you cannot
I got
flush
two
a toilet.
bathrooms. One could be the bad time.
I
room.
would fucking.
I got a
One-
bucket.
One already is the bad
because
time. room.
I have done a week without power and running water. Let me tell you, the water is way fucking worse.
It really
Yeah, but
is.
look how plugged in you are now, man.
Like you literally could not flush a toilet or shower in your house for a week. Like it's a fucking nightmare.
I mean,
do
I've-
you use
I've
your
done
phone
that,
as your alarm in the morning?
I mean, this was years ago. I didn't have a cell phone at the
Because you
time,
wouldn't be
but,
able to do that
like.
without
Can't get these
electricity.
emails.
but that's fine.
It's got a battery.
Like I don't give a shit if I don't wake up on time. Like, so I'll just.
seriously.
My point is like now electricity is more important to me than water, in a way. Like sure,
That's-
biologically that is not true.
I think
That's not
you,
true,
that's
but-
easy. That's easy to say until you.
But
actually
if
do
we're
it.
talking about a week,
Yes.
and you know at the end of that the water will be back.
I mean, it's not like
I
you
could
can't.
see the case for going without water, but I would probably still.
I'm sure there were some like summer vacations when I was a kid where it's just like, no, I don't need a shower.
But also, like depending on the time of year,
Yeah.
if it's winter and suddenly there's no heat, that actually becomes very unmanageable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was always like 20 degrees
Yeah, no,
outside
yeah,
when this would happen to us. I
yeah.
mean, like you get kerosene heaters, you get things that.
but that's if you can't use a gas generator in this situation. Like that would
no,
not be an
no,
option.
no. This is just a freestanding thing that you put kerosene in. That
But there's a freestanding thing
Makes
that you can
heat.
put kerosene in that will charge a battery on a thing. Like you can charge phones off campfires these days.
I'm not sure what
You just throw it in there.
we're talking about.
So what we're talking about end arounds for electricity.
That's a
in,
heater.
In
No,
this,
that's a heater.
in this weird scenario.
No, a kerosene heater is for heat. It's not. it
Yeah,
has
no, I
nothing to
know.
do with
But
electricity.
also, you could get electricity out of said
No,
heat.
but you can't because it's against the rules.
Is it?
Yeah.
Because you can get bottled water. That seems like it'd be against the rules, but
Well,
it's
he,
not.
He put it in the rules.
I don't know.
These rules are dumb.
guy made the rules.
It's a good would you rather though. A lot of heated discussion.
It's. Jarrett in Sacramento. When you alphabetize your media collection, do you put Raiders of the Lost Ark in the R section, or do you put it next to the other Indiana Jones movies?
Oh boy.
Does the Lost World go in the L's or the J's? Do you put First Blood in the F section or the R section?
You put the franchises together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I keep them
based off
together.
the title of
Even-
the first
Because
thing.
like alphabetically is a good universal rule, but when it comes to practicality and you're like, oh, I want to watch a Jurassic Park movie, you go to J because the first one's called Jurassic Park, and then you look at the couple ones
Yeah,
next to it.
so I would go to R for Raiders of the Lost Ark, and the rest would be right there.
Yeah.
My wife.
Wait.
God bless her.
Wait, that's
Just
tried
because that's the
to-
first one.
Hmm.
She tried to categorize
Yeah.
by genre, movie genre.
But
Oh, that's tricky.
Alphabetical genres? Or
No.
Oh.
no, no.
Is it like kind of spectrum like where you go like comedy into dramedy into drama?
Musicals are somewhere in there as well.
But
right?
then where do you put
It hurt. It physically hurt
Where do you
looking at this. Yeah, we've since come to our senses. But that was a really weird time in our lives and relationship.
really trying times?
you had to rethink that one.
Uh-huh.
Wait, is it still there?
No.
Okay.
We're alphabetized now. But yeah. Oh. She thought it was a good idea because you go to like Once Upon a Time, like Blockbuster, they had genres,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
On the movie shelves.
Okay, sure.
Sure.
Mhm.
It's good for like, oh, I'm in the mood for a comedy, and you just
Sure.
like
Yeah.
go to the comedy.
Right.
You're gonna have to
zone.
buy some like file
Yeah.
folder looking shit at that point. Like
Yeah, but
stick little
There wasn't any.
things.
I
in
feel
there.
like that's it makes sense for a video store because you don't know every single thing they have.
Yeah.
When it's your personal collection and you tend to know what you have, and it usually fits. I mean, how many DVDs are we talking about here?
I mean, hundreds,
Like 400, 300?
maybe a couple hundred.
Okay, that's alphabetical order. That's not that many.
Yeah.
I have like 6 pieces of physical
yeah,
media.
yes, I've gotten rid of almost everything.
I'm boxing up my DVDs. It's been.
I'm
good.
buying more shelves to display the DVDs.
I almost
I want to look at them.
Go ahead.
I almost bought an open source scan converter over the weekend. Speaking of
Really?
physical media and all this other stuff, like I almost crossed the gap and went and fucking like, well, gotta get SCART cables for all these consoles. Like it almost happens. It like it's been 2 or 3 times now that I've looked at the site that sells those things and see that, oh, they're in stock. I could get one right now.
What are they,
couple
two-
$100,
$200,
couple
yeah.
hundred, like $240, something like that. probably shipped.
It's tempting.
And I look at it and go like, oh, well, I've already got a SCART cable for my Duo,
Right.
my Turbo Duo,
You
my
may
Duo
as well
R.
just get one for
so,
everything.
I could get one for Saturn. I could. It's like $9. Okay, I could get a SNES cable. That'd be pretty good.
They got to have like a SCART like switcher, right?
So that's another $200 if you want and it's automatic, so it's just
Ooh.
there's no buttons on it. You just plug your 8 SCART
Yep.
leads into there, and
Well, what if you have your Super Nintendo and your Genesis on?
you turn one off? I think is what you do. I don't actually know what happens. I don't know
We
how
should
that thing
test
works.
that.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
We should get one
I
of
should
those
buy all
in.
that stuff, and it's a
Yeah.
fucking nightmare.
Did you guys see that the quote world's largest movie collection is on sale for eBay? 17,771 movies, $1 million.
Starting at like
Yeah, that's the buy it now price.
That's the buy
How
it now
much of it is
price.
VHS versus DVD versus Blu-ray?
There is.
That's a lot.
It says
of shows.
4K, Blu-ray, DVD, 3D, Criterion, OOP, Rare. And
Out of
Jeff,
print.
let me answer your next question right now. It says no pornos.
Then forget it.
That's
It's
in
not.
the
That's
eye
not worth
of the
$100.
Anything can be a.
Yeah. Does he have hard bodies?
He has several rare movies, like
Anything from the
The
steamy
Matrix.
section? Ooh. Okay.
What was it?
The Matrix.
I've heard of that.
I've definitely
I would like to own a copy of
to
The
that
Matrix.
one. Yeah, those are shows. Looks like the Game Informer Game Vault.
That's not
Yeah.
worth $1 million. I guess maybe there's something super rare in there that
Yeah,
I'm
it's
not
not-
thinking
yeah.
of, but
Like as a per, if you divide it out by price per movie, that is not worth. But I guess the
Probably
collection aspect adds a little bit to it.
And
right?
this guy's like, listen, I'm not going to look at this collection for under $1 million. That's
Yeah.
how much it means to me. Right?
Yeah.
I thought you were going to tell me that they were all copies of Jerry Maguire.
Hmm.
At which point you would say, "Show me." I guess they would say, "Show me the money."
Whenever you see a massive collection like that for sale, do you just automatically assume that the obsessive collector has passed away and somebody that knew them or came into possession of it is just cynically
No, I
I
liquidating
never
it
have, but I will now.
Yeah.
immediately? Like when I bought those, those dumbass McDonald's Batman Forever mugs that Dan has been tweeting about, I bought a set of those off of eBay. And it said, like, these came out of a private collection. They've never been used. They've been sitting in a glass case for 30 years or 20 years, however old they are.
Who the fuck puts them in a glass case for that long?
But like I looked at this person's this is a big time reseller, so
Yeah.
they have like thousands of auctions, but they had like dozens of Batman paraphernalia auctions
Oh,
running
right,
because this
yeah.
person had apparently collected every piece of Batman
yeah.
kitsch they could get their hands on. So it's just
I don't know.
super fucking
I always
sad to
assumed
think
that
about some person who spent their whole
The
life
thing I've always
collecting
assumed,
Batman stuff and then died and somebody
Yeah.
just eBayed it all off.
I always assumed that someone came to their senses.
Maybe.
Somebody
with
made
most
them
of
come
that
to
stuff.
their
I don't know.
senses.
Or yeah.
They
or
run
yeah.
out of space. They get doubles, right?
Yeah, maybe. I don't
They
know if
have
you're
multiple
well,
Batman mugs.
like I said, this reseller was selling a whole lot of Batman stuff.
Yeah, maybe they found what they were looking for in life. You know, maybe
Yeah.
they.
I don't know if you're 30 to 40 years into a Batman collection. I feel like
You
That
wake up
is
one
the
day and go,
life.
"What the fuck am I doing?"
Maybe. I
and
don't know.
get rid of all of it.
I feel like there's no stopping.
You wake up one day and you're like, "Oh man, Batman kind of sucks,"
So, yeah,
and just start moving it all out.
like video games.
Batman's all right.
Batman's okay.
Yeah,
Batman's
collect
great.
something that matters, like video games.
Batman's better than video games.
Ben Affleck's
Maybe.
terrible.
What about Batman video games?
How about Val
That
Kilmer?
NES one's pretty
They
good.
can be pretty good.
Val Kilmer's all right.
I'm a Keaton guy.
Adam West.
Yes, I'm with you.
Yeah,
I
Keaton.
think Keaton is
Keaton's
probably
great.
that's my Batman.
That first Batman, yeah. Roger Moore is my James Bond. Michael Keaton is my Batman. End of fucking discussion.
you
Ah,
say
yes,
that-
the first man to
Yeah.
play
You-
Batman.
right.
You say that? Have you watched it recently though?
What, Batman? No, I have not.
I
Of
felt
course not.
I felt the same way for the last 20 years.
No,
and I watched part of it a year.
I
or
have
two
not,
ago,
and I
it's-
will
yeah,
not.
you shouldn't. If you value your memories,
product
No,
of the
I don't
time,
value
for
my
sure.
memories. I just don't care
Ooh.
about it that much.
yeah.
As far as Batman voice goes, Kevin Conroy is my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
sure.
the Batman.
he's,
sure.
He's classic.
Absolutely.
He's no Adam West.
Who is?
Not even
No
Adam
one
West.
anymore,
No one,
sadly.
yeah.
Yeah. Rest
All
in
right.
peace.
Alex from Texas has got some inside information. A friend who works at Papa John's explained the PapaPriority system to me.
Okay, here we go.
What it does is bump your order to the top of our make line screen with a big alarm to let us know there's one up so it gets made first. Once it's in the oven, it bakes in 5 minutes, which our system acknowledges that it's then ready after the 5 minutes is up. On our driver computers where they check the orders out to deliver, the PapaPriority has to be the order that goes out next once it's deemed ready after that baking time. Literally no other delivery can go out except for that one.
Whoa.
That's crazy.
So like isn't that the exact opposite of what they said? Which was that
I
this
feel
will
like
not,
they
this will not
trickily
delay.
worded it in a way that makes it that they're in the clear for that. But yes, that goes against the
Like
spirit
they
of
explicitly
what they said.
said, hey, this will not delay other people's orders.
Oh my God.
But this literally
Totally
just shoves
does.
it to the top of the.
Here's what we should do. We'll show them. Let's order 100 pizzas separately, separate orders, and get PapaPriority on every single one of them.
Yep.
That'll show them.
That'll show the Papa.
And then no one else will get a pizza for like a good long time, and they won't know why.
Fuck
And
that.
and then
Fuck that.
and then
Fuck that.
we also order 100 pizzas without PapaPriority,
Without,
so
see
we
what
see the
comes
control
first.
group, and then we file a class action lawsuit.
Got him.
Nice.
Hey,
Got him.
Got him, Jeff.
Got him.
fuck that. Fuck PapaPriority. That goes against the spirit of pizza. Like, pizza is this thing that it's the great equalizer. Like, it's a Michael Scott bit to talk about, like, oh, black people have pizza, white people have pizza. But pizza's like the thing you're like, oh, what do we want tonight? Let's get pizza. Everyone's like, hell yeah. And then you go get pizza. And now I have to pay $3 to make sure that the pizza gets to my house hot.
No, they don't guarantee that it'll be hot.
They don't even guarantee that it'll be hot, but they guarantee that it'll be first.
Yeah.
Which guarantees that it won't be hot
All
if
you
you're
need
not
to-
a PapaPriority
All
guy.
you need to know is that you're getting one over on somebody else. That's what you're paying for.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the actual goal of capitalism.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Oh. I thought it was safe to order Papa John's again, but now I'm not.
No. Not with your socialist pizza tendencies.
Papa Murphy's, you see, he creates the pizza and then we bake it. We share the load of responsibility and it makes everyone rise up together.
That sounds like something that Antifa would say.
Suggesting that we seize the ovens of production. All right. Nick in South Carolina. Real quick, what's the deal with the giant rotting Nazi corpse at the end of Ikari Warriors? You know, the one that was apparently so important that it had to be present in all of the arcade ports? Jeff knows what I'm talking about.
Oh, right. Yeah. I don't know. That game. I don't remember. Yeah. I know that, but I'd
Sounds
have,
like
I'd
Jeff
have to go
doesn't
back.
know what you're
I'd have to go back and look at it again. But like, yeah, the boss fight, like the end of that game is really fucking weird.
I don't think I've ever seen the end of it, but now I'm Googling Ikari Warriors, Nazi corpse. Wait, is that it? Sitting on a throne?
Yeah.
What? That's just wow. That thing is huge. Well,
Yeah, it's a gigantic boss enemy that's like on that throne or whatever. Right? I think you fight it at the end.
I just it looks like it's sitting there with no head.
Yeah, it's like well, maybe that's after it gets beat. I forget.
Huh? I don't know.
Yep.
That's some weird stuff.
That's weird.
No idea.
That game gets
Is that
weird.
blood behind his head? Like
Yeah.
I don't know.
Brains
There's
Like,
a lot
out?
like different versions of that game get weird in different ways.
Yeah.
But they're all kind of
That's just-
uniformly
that just
strange.
that just reminds me of the Japanese version of Bionic Commando,
Right. Yeah.
which is named. Remind me.
Is it Return of Hitler?
I think it's Resurrection
It's
of
Top Secret :
Top Secret Resurrection of Hitler.
Resurrection of Hitler.
Something
yeah.
like that.
You'd have to keep that pretty top secret.
Yeah.
That seems like a plan that you run.
It was
on,
so
keep
top
really
secret that they
tight under
localized
wraps.
it out of the U.S. version. They're like, no, his name's Master D. Like, wait, no, he looks like Master D.
No,
That's
Master
his name.
D.
Yep, let's just subtly change all this iconography.
Hmm.
It's totally not the same thing at all. Let's see. Paul from Springfield. I just listened to the podcast, and your mention of the best Talk Soup host ever reminded me of a John Henson story that I thought I would share.
Finally,
Okay.
you can be told.
After John Henson left Talk Soup, he ended up getting his own weekly live talk show on Spike TV called The John Henson Project.
Yeah.
Oh right.
Where he would do several comedy bits and a news with one live interviewee that the show was kind of tied around. I worked as a production assistant on that show and helped in a variety of aspects, with one episode being geared around the adult film actress Brianna Banks. As part of the comedy package, we went to the set of one of her films, and John was in several awkward situations where he was trying to, quote, help out. So I had to stand next to John while in a raincoat offering to dry off two performers who were practicing their craft with a bounce. He's a super nice guy, though, and I hope he gets his own project again soon.
Sounds nice.
Yeah, I like John Henson. I feel like everything he did after leaving Talk Soup. Well, I guess he was hosted Wipeout, didn't he?
Yeah.
Okay, so whatever, he got his.
Wait,
Yeah.
like talk
Yeah.
show? I mean, not talk, like game show wipeout?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
fall in the water?
Yeah.
Yeah,
These
he was
weird
one of
foam,
those.
he
foam,
was
like,
in
foam
the
rubber
Wii game,
obstacles?
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So all
He's
right,
probably fine then.
John Henson figured it out at some point.
Yeah,
But
he always seemed nice.
yeah,
He was-
I met John Henson. We went and saw Talk Soup once.
I thought you were gonna say you're on a porn set.
Yeah. No, I was. There's this dude with a raincoat there. It was real weird. I was trying to practice my craft with a bounce, and there's just all this other stuff going
A couple more emails.
You guys ever been to a porn shoot? No,
That's,
neither have I.
That's a story for another time.
I was gonna.
It's a
ask-
complicated.
There's, I
question.
mean, there's a couple of likely candidates around here, so
Yeah.
Define
I certainly,
porn shoot.
I certainly know people who have.
Do you
around
mean
here.
like a professional, like legit production, or
professional,
not?
legit production. Actually,
No.
Okay.
There's a giant castle in San Francisco that
Yep.
stuff goes
Yes.
around.
Not anymore.
No,
Not
no,
anymore.
Not
no,
anymore.
no.
Yeah, not anymore. But yeah,
Couldn't even
Did you
keep
shoot
the
anything
porn
there?
in the city.
Like,
Yeah.
I've always been like super interested in the production of that.
it's very soul crushing.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. I
that's-
could see that.
Not this Bombcast.
Right.
Oh, good money though.
I imagine.
Yeah.
for a
For
contract production
yeah,
type?
yeah,
Somebody looking to freelance? I see. Okay.
yeah.
I've never been on that type of set, but I would fucking kill to get on like a TV series or even a film set. Like I would just love to hang out for a day and watch that stuff happen. They've been shooting a lot of Marvel movies in San Francisco.
Yeah, I
recently.
did a
like 3 of them in the last few months or something.
I did a like pottery workshop thing, and while I was there, we were talking to a couple next to us, and they were both working on Ant-Man 2.
Yeah, Ant-Man 2 was one. They shot parts of Venom a couple weeks ago here, and I think there was something else. I don't know.
I see it all the time. I guess I've gotten used to it. I don't know.
I used to always just think it was porn sets or
Yeah.
I used to just always assume it was Nash Bridges.
Okay. There's,
That must be weird now.
Yeah, no, it's like the Nash Bridges revival. Is that Don Johnson? Is that him?
How many weeks until a Nash Bridges revival?
Well, I mean, now that I've said it out loud,
4 to 6.
is Nash Bridges a CBS property? Seems like the sort of thing that would
I
be.
think
that
maybe.
sounds right.
Could be wrong.
All
All
right.
right, well, let's talk to some people.
All right, we're here in San Francisco already, so I mean,
It's true.
Nash
I'm proud to
Golden Gate Bridges.
Yeah.
I think if there's one thing I've always been jealous of New Yorkers for, it's their likelihood of just stumbling into a Law and Order shoot.
We saw
That
Chris
would
Noth
fucking-
on the streets.
God damn it! In like shooting or just walking around?
No, just walking around.
Okay. Like I lost track of how many people I know who lived in New York who just randomly walked into Law and Order at some point. Let's see. This person wanted to be anonymous. I just listened to this week's Aftermath podcast and love Jeff's story about using a CB radio to cuss out passing truckers.
Mm-hmm.
As
How old were you?
as a
38.
as a late 80s
No, I was
preteen.
like 10 or 11 or something.
As a late 80s preteen, my best friend and I would also use CB radios to do the same. While Jeff used a small toy with limited range, my friend's father had an incredibly expensive setup that reached for miles and miles. I quickly learned my Tri-City area had a large CB community that used the radio like modern social media.
Yep.
And for 6 months, we terrorized these nice people whenever sleepovers permitted. I later befriended many of these people as the local CB community became the local BBS community.
Yeah.
They remembered my friend and I from a few years before, and we all had a good laugh. The best part of my story, my handle was Solid Snake, and our first broadcast of the night was always, "This is Solid Snake, respond please."
Nice.
That's pretty good.
Sure.
Yeah. My grandpa had a ham radio, and it was totally the same thing. It was
Really?
basically like social media on the side of the mountain.
Huh.
Just a bunch of old gray hairs
Yeah.
talking on the ham radio about the weather and shit.
Yeah.
To each
definitely.
other, or just like
Yeah, to
kind of
each other.
into the
Yeah,
wind?
just like
Okay.
through a
Oh, to-
repeater.
yeah.
Like they would do like check in. Well, I don't know if it was like this around here, but like you'd hear like, oh, every night at 6 p.m. whoever's on this repeater, we're all just gonna check in. What'd you do today?
Yeah.
And so they just pass
Yep.
it around, and everyone just checks in and goes like, it looks like rain tomorrow.
Yep,
I don't know.
Totally stuff like that.
Shit. And then complain about politics for a while,
Yep.
and then
It's
and then
amazing.
get off.
It's amazing.
My friend was studying ham radio stuff, and he had all the gear, but he didn't have his license. Or he had his license. He was in the process of getting... Anyway, I really wanted to swear at people, and he was so against it. He took it so seriously.
Really?
He was like, "You don't have a license. Also, you can't swear on ham radio." I'm like, "Fucking watch me, man." But I think he was worried he would get triangulated, and someone would.
I think that was Vinny's exact reaction when you were telling that story in the chat. He was just like, "You can't swear on ham radio."
But CB radio, well, maybe not on CB. You're not supposed to swear on CB radio.
Just
I
don't
think, but-
swear. It's impolite. It's
Fuck
unladylike.
that.
It's unbecoming.
You're right. I have a lot. I grew up around auto mechanics.
Yeah.
Someone wrote me last week and said, "You sure you swear a lot?" And I was just like, "Yeah,
I grew up around a fisherman and a trucker.
yeah."
There's an etiquette to observe.
Yes.
It's just how it happened.
I randomly looked up over the weekend. I think the lowest level ham radio license is just like 20 question test or something like that. It's actually super simple.
Is this a ham radio? Yes.
No.
Fuck.
This is a microwave.
Josh says, just wanted to say I love All Systems Goku. I never finished the show when I tried in my teens before DBZ Kai was even a thing because it just stretched on and on. I made it to the Android Saga and tapped out just after that, but this new game plus the podcast has me rewatching the series along with you, and I'm surprised how much all of these factors has me back into it.
Cool.
I noticed on the podcast feed the art was pretty bare bones and thought I could lend a hand with something simple. Maybe you want it that way, in which case disregard this. But just in case, I threw this together as a thank you for the hours of entertainment you provided, as well as the other things you do.
We'll see what we got.
I don't actually have it
you don't
right
actually have
now,
the image?
but I do have the file if you
All
want
right.
it.
Yeah, sure.
I included this because the podcast art for All Systems Goku was a topic of conversation around the office.
Yeah, I was in the process of making a new feed for it, and then the last step in that process in our CMS was like, you need to upload an image. I'm like, oh, fuck, right. So I just grabbed a picture of Goku off the internet and threw it in there, which Apple was like, word. And then Google was like, we're going to take a look at what you sent us, and we'll get back to you.
Oh, it was Google?
And then, like, not long after that, Google wrote back and said, there's a problem with your podcast feed. We've detected you may not own the content of this, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, motherfucker. Wow. So I got a hold of the logo, the font that was used for the NWA logo, and wrote All Systems Goku, all white on a black background, 3000 by 3000, because that's what iTunes wants.
Oh, yeah.
And then I was done. So, and then I got to go home because that was all finished. And I could submit it to Google and it would work its way through before the next episode had gone
I
up.
thought it was Apple that
No,
complained.
Apple
I'm surprised
was-
they're
Google does
anything
image.
goes.
Google knows images. You know,
Yeah,
you know,
sure.
That's part of
their
their
slogan.
business. Yeah,
Sure.
Google knows images.
That's fair.
So yeah. So I changed that. It's that podcast is now available on its own feed on Google Play, iTunes, wherever fine podcasts are not sold.
And we should mention, I still see the occasional person asking about this. The after show has its own feed
It
now.
does. Yes, it's called Giant Bomb Aftermath, which is not the name of the show, but it's definitely the name of the feed.
Yes.
So look that up as well.
Yeah.
That's out there for everybody. And then if you're a premium member, you can watch the after show live and potentially call in.
It's
Be a good time.
every Tuesday around 2:15-ish.
Yeah,
right after this.
right after this, basically.
Yeah.
Right after this, and then I eat a part of a sandwich and go to the bathroom.
I forgot to bring a sandwich today.
Mm.
Just need some walnuts.
Hit the hot food machine.
Yeah.
I don't even know what floor that's on.
I don't even know if we have it anymore.
I don't.
We
I
have
didn't
one.
know
There
that we
was a
had
hot
one.
food machine in this building.
It's
at one
frozen
point.
food, but it's it's
Well,
like heated up
You
food.
can make it
Oh,
hot.
okay.
It's not the popcorn machine outside.
No, I guess that is technically the hot food machine.
I guess it was. I don't know. I never got anything out of it. I guess it was like Hot Pockets and stuff like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Right?
shit like that.
What?
I'm gonna go explore.
Go get a vended Hot Pocket. I'll pull up that image later. It's more Dragon Ball appropriate. Let's say.
Okay, all right. If
But
if it's not hellaciously pornographic or something like
No.
that, I will probably use
No,
it.
it's quite
Just mildly pornographic.
quite tasteful.
All right.
Ryan writes in last email. With the announcement of THQ Nordic buying up Deep Silver, it's become clear that Nordic's been hoarding up a lot of IP and now re-releasing it. The Blob 1 and 2 got ports to PS4 recently, with the original, a Wii game, getting a port to the Switch soon. They also ported Lock's Quest, a DS game by the Scribblenauts people, to the PS4. A DS game on
Yeah,
the PS4?
right.
Weird. And Titan Quest, a 2006 PC game, is getting a port to Switch and PS4 as well.
Oh, wow. That's weird.
With the long history of stuff they now have under their belt, is there anything you'd like to see get a fresh port of to newer platforms? Can Painkiller make a comeback? Would they just port the first Dead Island to Switch? could Stalker make it to consoles 12 years later?
Jeez.
And then I pulled up, there's a big, gigantic, I mean, their Wikipedia page, the THQ Nordic page, has literally a section called Properties Acquired.
Ooh.
Just because they've bought up so many IP,
Yeah.
such as Pusher, Itch with an exclamation mark, Chaser, Gothic, The Nations,
Gothic, okay. Yeah.
Castleween.
Castle, was that like, wait, Castleween, like the band?
Or like
maybe
the holiday.
possibly.
Or like my wiener.
That appears to be a PS2 game.
It's actually that one. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it's
it.
the,
Let's see.
yeah, said exactly like that too.
Here's a
in a
game.
very not creepy way.
Here's a game called Superpower. Here's a game. Oh man, there's a game called Safecracker.
Okay.
I want to know what that is.
I bet you crack safes.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I thought it was about just buying saltines.
No, that's yeah.
It's
Rock-
like, well, I gotta get someone everyone likes. I don't wanna...
Rock Manager.
Okay.
The front of the box says "Sell crap music to kids."
No, Rock Manager.
Dude, we have to play this game.
Rock Manager is just it's a Rockman manager.
Rock Manager is a business.
You manage a business of Mega Men.
It has a. This came out in 2002. A business simulation game for Microsoft Windows. Front of the box says "Sell crap music to kids. Push rock stars around. Be the ultimate rock manager."
That sounds fun.
Safecracker is described as a Myst-like game that uses QuickTime VR.
Oh.
Sick! From 1997. Are these all THQ games?
Probably. Not. Maybe. I don't know.
Let's see. Brad Muir's Alter Echo is on this list.
Yeah. Maybe I would like them to re-release Alter Echo
Yeah.
actually, because that game had an interesting combo system. It was fun
It
in
was
its
neat.
day. To find out years later, if you told me then, I would eventually meet someone who worked on the combat in Alter Echo.
Yeah.
I would say that seems like something that might happen in this line of work.
Alter Echo was like one of the first games I covered at GameSpot, if I remember. Oh, okay. Wow. Huh. Okay, THQ is not the only company that Nordic has been buying up
they've
properties
been buying
from.
up stuff,
Wow.
Yeah.
A lot of these are
seems like-
Joe Wood Entertainment.
Okay. Yeah.
A bunch of them are from Dreamcatcher Interactive.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Mostly from THQ. They've got a couple of Atari properties. Man,
Who doesn't?
Yeah,
That's
at this
fair.
point.
they got a bunch of Nova
I
Logic
own the
stuff.
rights to Major Havoc. Just happened.
Dude, yeah, what? They've got all the Nova Logic
Yeah,
stuff.
Comanche's there.
They've got F-22 Lightning,
hmm
Delta Force,
I don't know what any of these are.
Video games.
Oh,
real
right.
ones,
Yeah.
legitimate video games, like Pusher,
Like Pusher.
Do any of
Everyone's
them have
favorite,
microtransactions?
which does not have
we'll
a,
have to look at the box on that one.
Pusher does not have a.
Yeah. Home Alone for the SNES for PS4. That's what I want.
Is that not on this
That's
list?
what they should
THQ
call it.
published
They
it,
should
but
call
yeah.
it that.
Home Alone for the SNES for the PS4.
Unfortunately,
But it's actually on Xbox. It's weird.
Unfortunately, not on this list.
All right. Well, then I don't want any of that stuff.
Yeah. They got a lot of stuff. All right. That's it
You
for
know who
emails.
else has a lot of stuff?
Who's that?
The website giantbomb.com.
That's right.
Has a lot of video content.
All those video
That's
games
us.
are there. There's videos of some video games on there, but not all. Not
Sure.
yet. Someday.
Quite a few.
Yeah.
get there.
There's a lot of games to go through.
Mm-hmm.
We will work diligently.
That's right.
All right. Y'all got the after show coming up?
Yep. After show coming up. After I run to the bathroom. Not at all frantic right now.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, all right.
I guess we should end this podcast.
Drank
Hey.
all this water. I drank all this water.
Yeah, that'll happen. Clean out your kidneys
Mm-hmm.
so you can remove impurities from
That's all right. We must remove the impurities
from
from
your bloodstream.
this after show.
That's yep.
Oh, I'll go like get lunch somewhere or something.
No.
Got to come
You
in.
must
clean.
help me in this quest.
Got to come
Oh,
in.
I thought I
clean.
was one of the impurities.
No.
All right. Let's end this podcast before we have any wet chairs in here.
Too late.
Oh, great. Okay.
It's from
well,
a different
on that
thing,
note-
though. From a different thing.
Okay,
Yeah,
on that
don't worry.
note, thanks for listening. It'll be drier next week. See you then.